Chapter 727. Chapter 727, Dragon King Banquet 6, 5/20. It was unbelievable. No one could believe what was happening before their eyes. Elder Ming's body was actually penetrated by a white figure. It was very difficult for him to survive this attack. Elder Ming was not an ordinary elder of the Ming Wang Immortal Sect. He was at the half-step Immortal God Realm and was ranked in the top 3 below the Immortal God Realm. Such a terrifying powerhouse was actually killed right away. Most importantly, he actually dared to kill him. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. Cough 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 you. The white-haired middle-aged man was no longer as cold and calm as before. He stared at Wang Xian with his eyes wide open. His body bent down slowly and hugged the spot where his wound was. Father. No. Obviously, Feng, who was still alive, saw that his father was being attacked as well. His eyes were filled with regret. What kind of people did they offend? They didn't care about their background at all. Moreover, the strength that he displayed also made them feel terrified. An expert who was half a step away from the immortal god was instantly killed. Gulp. Beside him, Deacon Zhang gulped, his eyes filled with fear. He killed 4 core disciples of the Ming Wang Immortal Sect and killed Elder Ming. Obviously, he completely disregarded their background. Looking at the indifferent youth, Deacon Zhang's scalp went numb and his body trembled. The thin and weak youth and the girl half knelt on the ground and clutched their chest, their faces filled with cold sweat. When they saw this scene, they looked a little dazed. They didn't expect this at all. They didn't expect this kind of result at all. Join our immortal sect. Deliberately attract attention. No wonder the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate said that they were narcissistic and arrogant. He didn't want to attract the attention of the immortal sect at all, but he didn't take it seriously from the beginning to the end. Coming uninvited, one of your sins. Trespassing is the second offense. A disciple of the immortal sects is causing trouble, yet he still came to question us. The third offense. Therefore, all of you should stay here. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the people from the Puppet Immortal Sect and the Ming Wang Immortal Sect as he spoke slowly. After he finished speaking, the group of draconids behind him walked towards them. The immortal masters from our immortal sects will not let you off. We will not let you off. Deacon Zhang could not help but take 2 steps back as he spoke with a face full of fear. There were a total of 30 members of the dragon sect behind Wang Xian. The aura that they emitted was at least at the infant stage. Looking at so many infant stage powerhouses, Deacon Zhang's face was filled with despair. He did not expect that the former faction of the Jianghu would have so many powerhouses. They weren't afraid of the celestial sect. Leave that girl behind to collect their corpses. Wang Xian pointed at the severely injured girl and said to the draconid. It wasn't that he was soft on the fairer sex, but this girl was the only one among the 6 young men who walked over with curiosity. The other 5 people were all mocking and looking down on him. Wang Xian admitted that he wasn't a good person. Too many martial artists had died because of him. However, all of them were provoked by others. This was especially so during the massacre of the martial arts world. They wanted to besiege the Dragon Gate and kill his sister Lan Qingyue and the rest. They even implicated the Shui family. Naturally, he would not hesitate at all. If you want to slaughter my entire family, I will exterminate your entire family. He would not show any mercy. The moment Wang Xian finished speaking, all the draconids moved. At the scene, only Deacon Zhang, an infant stage powerhouse, was standing. They had no ability to resist at all. When the surrounding River City martial artists saw their own immortal sect's powerhouse being killed, they were stunned. Mo Qinglong looked at the River City martial artists who were approaching the immortal sect earlier and shouted for them to make the decision. No, spare us. We are forced to do so. Spare us. Everyone broke down when they saw Mo Qinglong's gaze. They knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. All of them are crippled. Let's be ordinary people from now on. Mo Qinglong said coldly. His body moved and destroyed the dantian of dozens of people. Everyone's faces were filled with despair. It was not easy for them to join the celestial sect. Now they had become ordinary people. That feeling filled their hearts with despair. Wang Xian walked to the side of the only girl. The girl was panting heavily. Her eyes were filled with fear. The innocent curiosity and liveliness from before had disappeared completely. Tell your celestial gods not to provoke me. Otherwise they will bear the consequences themselves. Yes. The girl frowned and nodded her head with some fear in her eyes. Also, remember not to target any of my friends. Wang Xian nodded his head and swept his gaze across the martial artists around him. All the martial artists in Jianghu City could not help but take a step back. Their eyes were filled with fear. Wang Xian ignored them and left directly from the spot where he had broken through. The group of draconids followed closely behind him and soon disappeared from everyone's sight. Off, off, off. Wang Xian left. The rapid breathing sounds in the banquet hall could be heard. The real Dragon King is back. The entire banquet hall was silent for a long time. Finally, an old man slowly uttered a few words. His gaze swept across the surroundings as he staggered out of the hall. Miss Feiyuan, are you all right? Let's send their corpses back to the Immortal Sect. Some of the martial artists who had joined the Puppet Immortal Sect and the Ming Wang Immortal Sect looked at the girl who was slowly standing up and said hesitantly, I'll inform the Immortal Sect. Looking at the corpses of the disciples and elders around her, Feiyuan was silent. She took out a signal flare from her interspatial ring. The white signal flare flicked gently toward the outside. All of you leave, Feiyuan said to the surrounding warriors of River City. Miss Feiyuan, then, we'll leave first. The group of people felt a little heavy-hearted and slowly walked out. They had joined an immortal sect and had an immortal sect as their backer. They thought that the Dragon King would be afraid of them, but in the end, this result was hard for them to accept. Dragon King. A young man clenched his fist tightly and looked at the corpses of the experts of the immortal sect around him. His eyes flickered. He took out his cell phone and secretly took pictures one by one. Bang bang bang. At this moment an extreme white light lit up in the sky. At the same time, loud sounds spread far and wide. The white light stopped in the sky, like white stars that flickered gently. A total of 5 white dots appeared in the surroundings and stopped in the sky. At this moment, in the Ming King city next to the Ming King Immortal Sect. The ancient city was bustling with activity. Emergency signal from the north. 5-star emergency signal, not good, a half-step immortal god is in trouble. What happened? Why is there a 5-star emergency signal? Suddenly, a disciple of Ming Wang Immortal Sect looked toward the northern sky in shock. 5 light dots stood in the sky. This was a kind of emergency signal from Ming Wang Immortal Sect. 5 stars, which meant that a half-step immortal god had met with misfortune. This level of signal flares the first time. Chapter 728. Chapter 728, Shunding area shook, 6/20. Oh no, something big has happened. Go to the location of the accident immediately. The appearance of the 5-star distress signal bullet caused the entire Ming Wang Immortal Sect to shake. 5-star, this was an accident that happened to a half-step immortal god-level powerhouse. There were less than 4 half-step immortal god-level powerhouses in their immortal sect. The expressions of some elders of the immortal sect changed drastically. In less than a minute, a group of Bright King Immortal Sect flew toward Jianghu City. There were a total of 25 people, all of whom were Infant Realm experts. Almost half of Bright King Immortal Sect's Infant Realm experts were mobilized. The leader was a bald old man. His head was emitting a faint light in the dark night. He wore a robe and held a magic staff in his hand. The group of people flew toward the direction of the distress signal at a terrifying speed. When the group of Ming Wang Immortal Sect powerhouses rushed over, a post that made all the disciples of the 2 great immortal sects furious exploded on the Jianghu website in the Shunding area. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate killed the core disciples, deacons and elders of the Puppet Immortal Sect of the Ming Wang Immortal Sect. We want to avenge them. There were pictures attached to a post. The pictures were the corpses of the disciples of the Immortal Sect, close to 20 corpses. There were also some introductions about the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate at the bottom of the pictures. There were many words in the introductions, about 200 or 300 words, mainly describing the Dragon King's brutality, arrogance and contempt for the Immortal Sect. He even said that he would destroy the Ming Wang Immortal Sect and the Puppet Immortal Sect. Nowadays, everyone in the Immortal Sect had a mobile phone, especially when they had just come into contact with the internet. Many people in the Immortal Sect were paying attention to the things on the internet. When they saw this post, everyone was furious. Especially when they saw the top 10 disciples of the Immortal Sect, including the second-ranked Heaven's Pride disciple, Ming Quan's corpse and the corpse of Elder Ming. Everyone was furious. That was the most elite disciple of their immortal sect, an elder of their immortal sect, and now he was killed. This was simply an insult and provocation to their immortal sect. The disciples of the puppet immortal sect were the same. The deacons were killed and the disciples were killed. The entire post instantly ignited the anger of the two immortal sections. In just half an hour, the number of replies reached hundreds of thousands. Countless disciples expressed that they would definitely kill the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. The two immortal sect disciples were in an uproar. Many even wanted to kill the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate tonight. The crowd was furious. Flying kite. In the Xianyang Hotel, the experts of the Mingwang immortal sect sensed the aura of the girl and immediately flew over. When they saw the corpse in the banquet hall, their expressions changed drastically. Old bye. When the bald old man saw the white-haired middle-aged man's corpse, his expression changed drastically, and he immediately walked over. Who did it? The bald old man's gaze swept over the surrounding corpses, and his expression was extremely gloomy. Dragon Gate Dragon King. Fei Yuan's eyes were slightly red. It was the youth who humiliated Mu Zidao and Ming Feng yesterday. We thought that the other party wanted to attract the attention of our immortal sect and wanted to join us. We came over with Uncle Ming. In the end, there was a conflict. The other party had around 30 infant realm experts and a terrifying assassin hidden in the void. Uncle Ming was killed in an instant by a sneak attack. What? The surrounding Ming Wang immortal sect experts revealed shocked expressions when they heard the girl's words. 30 infant realm experts? Assassins hidden in the void? The bald old man's eyes revealed a grave expression. Soon after, his expression became slightly malevolent. Not to mention 30 infant realm experts, even if there were 40 of them, they dared to kill so many of us. We must take revenge. First Elder, that Dragon King told me to tell our immortal god not to provoke him, or else we will bear the consequences. Fei Yuan continued to say with a serious expression. Bear the consequences? The bald old man's face instantly darkened, and all the surrounding experts of the Ming King immortal sect also realized the seriousness of the problem. Since the other party dared to directly ask them to tell them about the immortal god, then it was inevitable that the other party also had terrifying experts at the immortal god level. Report to the immortal god immediately. The bald old man took a deep breath and said with a solemn face. The group of Ming Wang immortal sect powerhouses carried the corpses around them and flew toward the immortal sect with extremely ugly expressions. 5 core disciples ranked in the top 15 were killed, and an elder who was half a step away from the immortal god level was killed. This was the most serious loss Ming Wang immortal sect had suffered since its appearance. The main peak of Ming Wang immortal sect was a mountain that was emitting white light. The entire mountain peak was like a holy mountain. Dong dong dong. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the bell on the main peak rang and spread throughout the entire immortal sect. All the elders and deacons of the immortal sect had gathered. A figure slowly appeared in front of a chair in the middle of the front. There were only 4 chairs in front. At this moment, all the experts of the immortal sect were gathered in the hall. On the ground in front of them there were many corpses. Sect leader, the entire immortal sect is filled with righteous indignation. We must avenge Elder Ming and the others. An old man looked at the corpses on the ground with a face full of grief and indignation and shouted angrily. Sect leader, Elder Ming and 5 elite disciples were killed. We must avenge them. Another old man said. You don't need to care about this matter. We will handle it. The figure covered by the white light said to the group of immortal sect powerhouses below. Sect leader, all the disciples of the immortal sect hope that we can take revenge for them. There are more than 10,000 disciples waiting outside the immortal sect. The bald old man sighed and said to the white figure. We will handle this matter. The other party has an immortal level powerhouse. Let all the disciples wait for the result. The white figure said in a deep voice. Yes, sect leader. The powerhouses of the Ming Wang immortal sect nodded slightly and didn't say anything. The battle involving the immortal level powerhouses wasn't something they could participate in. Bury them properly and leave. The figure said directly, and the group of immortal level powerhouses immediately walked out. At this time, tens of thousands of immortal level disciples had gathered outside the main peak. Elder, how should we deal with this matter? Should the disciples go and kill the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate? The disciples of the Ming Wang immortal sect were completely incited by the posts on the Jianghu internet. Their fellow disciples had been killed, and the posts were full of sensational exaggerations, which made them want to kill the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate immediately. The sect master will handle this matter personally. Everyone don't worry. The disciples of the Ming King Immortal sect can't die in vain. The bald old man said to the disciples in front of him with a gloomy face. It's good that the sect master will handle it personally. Destroy them. Destroy their entire sect. Leave no one alive. They dare to kill the people of our Ming King Immortal sect. They dare to provoke our Immortal sect. Make them pay a heavy price. Hang the Dragon King's corpse in our Immortal sect and use his corpse to repent. When the disciples of the Ming Wang Immortal sect heard that the sect master was going to deal with this matter, they were all excited. If the Immortal God made a move, the guy who dared to kill their disciples would be dead for sure. Chapter 729. Chapter 729, We'd Better Retreat, 7/20. The sect leader will personally handle the matter of Elder Ming and the others. All the disciples of the Immortal sect will wait for the news. The murderer will be beheaded by the sect leader. Anyone who dares to provoke us, the disciples of the Ming King Immortal sect, will be punished. If the sect leader makes a move, no matter who the other party is, they will have to pay the price of blood. Lord Sect Leader, please hang the Dragon King's corpse in our Mingwang city and let everyone know the fate of those who dare to kill our disciples. The elite disciples were killed, and the elders of the Immortal sects were killed. The exaggerated post on the forum had completely aroused the anger of the people of the two Immortal sections. Even the powerhouses of the Immortal sects were full of anger and killing intent when they saw the post. However, the sect master had already ordered them to deal with it personally, which made the disciples of the Immortal sects look excited. If the Immortal sect master made a move, the other party would definitely be killed. Now they just needed to wait for the news. They just needed to wait for the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate to be killed and the Dragon Gate to be destroyed. A former force of the Jianghu dared to challenge their Immortal sections. They were courting death. At this moment, at the top of a mountain peak, there was a small platform on top of the mountain peak, and 6 seats were placed on the platform. Curling white smoke rose from the mountain peak. At this moment, 6 figures stood on the platform, 2 white figures, 2 blue figures. There was also a golden figure and an earthy yellow figure. The 6 people stood on the mountain peak and their faces could not be seen clearly. Each of them seemed to be a small world. Have you read the information about the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate? It's a little surprising. This Dragon Gate and the Dragon King are not simple. Since they dare to say such words, it's almost certain that they have the strength of an immortal god. No matter what, their actions are a provocation to our 2 immortal sections. If we don't destroy them, I'm afraid that all the immortal sects will laugh at us. We can't even deal with a force that once belonged to the Jianghu. It doesn't matter if they have immortal gods or not. There are a few immortal god experts who must be destroyed. With the 2 brothers Wind Devil, the 6 of us, even if they have 3 immortal god experts, will die. Don't worry everyone. Since we've joined your immortal sects, we're already prepared to fight against a strong enemy together. It's still easy to destroy a force that once belonged to the pugilistic world. On the platform, the calm voices of 6 people could be heard. They were talking at a moderate pace. Jianghu City's seaside villa. Let's go there. The 6 people moved and instantly disappeared from the peak of the mountain, flying towards Jianghu City. Ming Wang Immortal Sect and Puppet Immortal Sect were not considered powerful immortal sects among the 20 immortals. Their overall ranking was below 15. In the past, the 2 immortal sects only had 4 immortal god-level powerhouses. Later on, due to a coincidence, 2 immortal god-level powerhouses were added. The speed of the 6 of them was extremely terrifying. In less than 10 minutes, they appeared at the villa area by the sea. Streams of terrifying energy swept across. Dragon King of Dragon Gate, come out and face your death. A calm voice rang out and covered the entire area. Oh, you came so quickly. At this moment, Wang Xian, who was staying in his room, smiled when he heard the voice. He wasn't too surprised by the arrival of the 2 immortals from the immortal sections. At this moment, the immortals were forbidden to make a move in the martial arts world. That was only an agreement between the immortal sections. The Dragon Gate wasn't part of the original agreement. Therefore, the immortals from the 2 immortal sects didn't have any reservations. There are 6 immortals. This is a little unexpected. Wang Xian sensed the 6 figures in the sky and revealed a look of surprise. According to the news, There were only 4 immortals from the 2 immortal sections. Now that there were 2 more, it was completely out of his expectations. However, so what if there are 6 immortals? The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly as he walked out slowly. You came quite quickly. His faint voice rang out in the sky. In a villa beside him, Ao Jian was holding a spiritual sword in his arms as he walked out of the villa slowly. Do you know your crime? When one of the immortals in the sky heard Wang Xian's voice, his gaze turned cold. Your disciple didn't discipline him strictly. In that case, I can only help you to kill him. 6 immortals, hee, this is really unexpected. Wang Xian walked out of the villa slowly and raised his head to stare at the sky indifferently. This caused the immortals from the Ming Wang and Puppet Immortal sects to frown slightly. Too calm. Too calm. It was as if they had already expected their arrival. This made their faces solemn and their hearts vigilant. There wasn't a single idiot among the immortals who dared to wait for them here. They must have their own background. 2 of them. The old man who was emitting an earthy yellow figure sensed the area below and said faintly. 2 celestials still dare to be so arrogant. They are really as described in the information. A white figure snorted coldly. Killing intent gradually surged from his body. Swoosh, swoosh. Wang Xian and Ao Jian moved and stood in the void. They stared at them who were 1,000 meters away. Suddenly, a look of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. He looked at the 2 old men who were emitting blue light. At this moment, the 2 old men were stunned as well. Their bodies stiffened. They stared at Wang Xian and Ao Jian in shock. Their eyes flickered. Dragon Gate. I really didn't expect that there would be 2 immortals. A white figure's body shimmered as a staff appeared in front of him. He stared coldly at Wang Xian and Ao Jian. Just 2 celestials and you dare to provoke us? Do you think that we can't do anything to you? Today we are going to kill the celestials. A low growl came out from the golden figure's mouth as a strange golden puppet appeared beside him. The puppet was 3 meters in size, and it was emitting a sharp metallic light. You killed our disciples. Even if you are immortal gods, you will die here today. Numerous spirit tools containing terrifying energy appeared in front of them, and the pressure of immortal gods instantly covered them. 3 to kill 1. It's easy. Brother Wind Fiend, and Wind Fiend will take care of the middle-aged man who is emitting sword light. A white figure holding a scepter said with a cold gaze. Cough, cough. The 2 old men with blue figures could not help but cough violently and looked around with some trepidation. Ha! The other 4 experts from the Ming King Immortal sect and the Puppet Immortal sect sensed the expressions of the 2 old men and immediately frowned. A hint of displeasure flashed in their eyes. Wind Devil and Wind Fiend brothers, the powerful enemy is at the front. Let's retreat. At this moment, an old man suddenly opened his mouth and whispered to them. This caused the 4 immortal gods to be completely stunned, and their faces revealed a stunned expression. Wind Devil and Wind Fiend brothers, what nonsense are you talking about? A hint of ice-cold voice flashed in the eyes of the 4 people as they stared at him. Chapter 730. Chapter 730. Let's retreat, August 20th. Feng Sha looked at the 4 people beside him with a slightly awkward expression. However, both of them looked at Wang Xian and Ao Jian with a twinkle in their eyes. Their eyes were filled with vigilance and fear. Damn it, that's right. It's them. It's definitely them. When they recalled what happened more than a year ago, cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. Seeing the young man staring at them with a mocking expression, the corners of their mouths could not help but twitch. Brother Ming, Brother Lu, we can't afford to offend them. Let's retreat. Their expressions changed and they gritted their teeth as they spoke to the 4 people beside them. This caused the 4 immortal gods from the Ming Wang Immortal sect and the Puppet Immortal sect to be stunned, and their faces revealed astonishment. Can't afford to offend them? A look of astonishment flashed in the eyes of the 4 people, followed by a slightly unpleasant expression. Brothers Wind Devil and Wind Fiend, just tell us the specific reason. An immortal god from the Ming Wang Immortal sect asked them with a twinkle in his eyes. Cough, cough. As you know, we come from the Yuding world. It's the only world in the 9 Ding world that doesn't have a world. Wind Devil said to them with a dark expression. Oh. The 4 of them slowly nodded. The world of 9 cauldrons already had 8 cauldrons. However, the world of Yuding was the only one that was missing. This made the immortal sects curious for a very long time. However, because the world of Yuding was in the middle of the ocean and was too far away from the other cauldrons, the immortal sects didn't know the exact reason. Later, some disciples of the world of the Cauldron of Yu ran out and said that their world of the Cauldron of Yu was destroyed. At that time, it shocked all the immortal sections. According to the descriptions of those disciples, some immortal god experts guessed that it might be a terrifying existence in the ocean, or it might be the work of a powerful god from the Oyu continent. At this point, only 8 cauldrons were left in the world of the 9 cauldrons. As for the 4 immortal gods from the Mingwang immortal sect and the Puppet immortal sect, they knew more than others. A year ago, when the Shunding world had just appeared, they had met Feng Mafingsha and Feng Mafingsha by accident. The two of them had been living in their immortal sect ever since. Later on, they became the honorary elders of their immortal sect. You're saying that the one who destroyed the immortal gods of the Yuding world and prevented you from appearing was? A white shadow's eyes flashed with a hint of shock as he couldn't help but exclaim. That's right, it's him. We remember him clearly. He's the Dragon King, and his strength is comparable to our sect master. The other one can turn into a terrifying biological sword. Besides the two of them, there's a creature that can hide in the void. He's very terrifying, and if we're not careful, he'll directly ambush and kill us. In addition, he also has an elder holding a turtle shell, a devil monkey that is emitting powerful devil chi, and a terrifying creature that is emitting lightning. Feng Imo and Feng Sha's eyes were filled with fear as they said bitterly. In the Dingyu world, the two of them were the weakest. The 2 sect leaders had reached the middle stage immortal realm, while Young Demon and Hong Ying were also at the peak of the lower stage immortal realm. However, the two of them were assassinated without a sound. In the eyes of the 2 elders, the Mingwang immortal sect and the Puppet immortal sect were far weaker than their Dingyu world. At the very least, they didn't have a mid-level immortal. An expert who had destroyed their Dingyu world could easily destroy the Shunding world, which was even weaker than their Dingyu world. What they were doing now was courting death. This? The 4 of them were completely stunned. Looking at the young man who stood there looking at them mockingly, they instantly felt their scalps go numb. No wonder they dared to wait here so arrogantly. In an instant, cold sweat appeared on the foreheads of the 4 of them. Their strength was much weaker than Yuding worlds. If Wind Devil and Wind Fiend hadn't joined, a middle-level immortal would have been able to contend against them. Not to mention, apart from a middle-level immortal, he also had powerful subordinates. Gulp. Everyone couldn't help but gulp. What's the matter? Are we going to fight or not? The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly as he asked them mockingly. He didn't expect to meet the 2 elders of Yuding here. Ahem, Dragon King, we don't have any grudges that can't be resolved. I think we should sit down and talk. Wind Devil coughed and said to Wang Xian with a smile on his face. The 4 immortals from the Mingwang immortal sect and the Puppet immortal sect stiffened and didn't speak. At this moment they didn't dare to speak. The other party was able to destroy the world of Yuding, which was 2 to 3 times stronger than them. It would be a piece of cake for them to destroy the Mingwang immortal sect and the Puppet immortal sect. As for the disciples of the immortal sect who were killed, they could just kill them. They could only blame themselves for seeking death. After all, they were going to provoke an immortal god. The pressure of an immortal god should not be violated. As for revenge, it was even more ridiculous. It would be good if they could think of a way to not cause trouble for the other party. Moreover, the lifespan of an immortal god was 500 years. They had seen many life and death departures. The overall situation was the most important, and the immortal sect was the most important. Shall we sit down and talk? Wang Xian smiled and swept his gaze across the 6 of them. This caused their expressions to tighten instantly. Sure, I'm not interested in fighting with you. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. Everyone come over. He moved his body and entered the room directly. The 6 of them looked at each other and withdrew their weapons before following him into the villa below. Please come in, everyone. Sun Lingxiu and Lan Qingyue poured a cup of tea with smiles on their faces when they saw the 6 immortals come in. The 6 smiled and nodded with a strange look on their faces. They were here to take revenge for the disciples of the immortal sect, and now they were sitting down to drink tea. What the fuck? It could only be said that a man could bend and stretch. Hello, Dragon King. Hee, we'll get to know each other if we don't fight. The few of them smiled and sat at the side. Let me introduce myself first. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate is studying in Jianghu City. Please take good care of him in the future. Wang Xian smiled and gestured at them. No. Although Jianghu City is located in our Shunding area, we will ask our disciples to leave immediately since you are here, Dragon King. An elder from the Mingwang Immortal sect said with a slightly ugly expression. There are only a few dozen disciples from our dragon sect. It doesn't matter if you are here or not, as long as you don't provoke me. Wang Xian said plainly to them. Don't worry. In the future, the disciples from the Mingwang Immortal sect and the Puppet Immortal sect will definitely not disturb you, Dragon King. With your strength, Dragon King, we wouldn't dare to offend you. The two elders of the Puppet Immortal sect saw that Wang Xian was not a difficult person to talk to, but they still spoke bitterly. That's good. I don't want to be your enemy either. There are some things that I would like to trouble you with. Wang Xian smiled and nodded. This time around he did not come back to be a king like before. Instead, he had some other matters to deal with. Chapter 731. Chapter 731, Let's Retreat, September 20th. With the establishment of the Dragon Palace and the rise of the Water Tribe, Wang Xian had shifted his attention from the martial arts world to the ocean. When he returned to Jianghu City, Wang Xian had 3 important things to do. The first was the Dragon Vein. When the Dragon Vein was fully formed, he could take it away. The second was about Shuqing. Currently, Guan Shuqing had yet to wake up. According to his guess and what Tang Yinshen said, it was because of her soul that she could not wake up. Wang Xian needed to collect spiritual herbs related to the soul to recover her soul. Or he could look for a godly doctor who could heal the injuries of the soul. Thirdly, it was about the formation. Currently, the Dragon Palace was still short of the last formation, which could be upgraded to level 2. A level 2 Dragon Palace possessed the ability to move under the sea. Unfortunately, Wang Xian had rarely encountered an array formation, let alone a level 2 array formation. Furthermore, with the current strength of the Dragon Palace, they did not have the ability to dominate the entire Jianghu. Out of the 20 immortal sects, the Mingwang Immortal sect and the Puppet Immortal sect were considered relatively weak existences. Even so, each of their immortal sects had 2 immortals, not to mention the top-notch Xianyuan clan. According to the current ranking of the immortal sects, the Xianyuan clan was ranked first. There were 8 immortals in the clan, and there was even a superior immortal. With the strength of a superior immortal, he could easily kill a middle-level immortal. Please speak, Dragon King. When they heard that Wang Xian had no intention of fighting for territory, they heaved a sigh of relief. The initial dispute between the Celestial sect was due to the issue of territory and territory. The Celestial sect had hundreds of thousands or even millions of disciples. These people needed to be fed, so territory was very important to them. I want to ask if there are any formations and spiritual herbs that can grow or heal souls. Wang Xian asked them. Formations? Spiritual herbs that can heal the soul? The 6 of them looked at each other and said, there are very few spiritual herbs and elixirs that can heal the soul. It is possible that the Holy Medicine Immortal sect has such special spiritual herbs. Other than the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, is there any other immortal sect that has them? Wang Xian asked after some thought. He had a grudge with the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. If he were to ask for the herbs, they would probably start a fight. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect were very powerful. They could be ranked in the top 5 among the immortal sections. With the current strength of the Dragon Palace, they could at most contend with them. Other than the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, the only other sect is the Innate Immortal sect. The Innate Immortal sect mainly cultivates the wood attribute. They have planted a large number of spiritual herbs. Wang Xian nodded slowly. Then he looked at the 6 of them and said, thank you very much. If you have a level 2 array formation and information about spiritual herbs, please inform us. Don't worry. If we get any information, we will definitely inform the Dragon King. The 6 of them immediately promised. Wang Xian nodded his head and said, Jianghu City is still your territory. Just don't let your disciples come and provoke me. In addition, I plan to open a forging shop in Jianghu City to refine spiritual weapons and elixirs. To refine a spiritual weapon, you only need 2 sets of materials. 3 sets of materials to refine elixirs. You can give 4 elixirs. You don't have to charge any spiritual stones. There is a prerequisite. You can only refine elixirs above level 6 and spiritual weapons above level 11. When the time comes, if you want to refine pills and weapons, you can look for me. Dragon King, do you know how to refine pills and weapons? The old man from the puppet immortal sect revealed an astonished expression. Wang Xian nodded his head. Can you refine a grade 13 spiritual weapon? Wind Devil asked hurriedly. Wang Xian shook his head. I haven't found any secret manuals regarding the formation of weapons. The secret manuals that were used to inscribe formations were not recorded in the book of the fire god that was in Ajaya's hands for some unknown reason. Currently, Wang Xian only lacked the method to inscribe formations to be able to forge a level 13 spirit weapon. A hint of disappointment appeared on the faces of Wind Demon and Wind Fiend. The weapon in their hands was merely a spirit weapon that was forged from a level 13 spirit weapon. It was equivalent to a level 12 spirit weapon. If they could find a grandmaster in artifact refinement, they could directly upgrade the spiritual weapon in their hands to grade 13. Goodbye. After chatting for a while more, they left. Wang Xian watched them leave with a smile on his face. Phew. The people from the Mingwang Immortal Sect and the Puppet Immortal Sect who flew out heaved a sigh of relief. If Brother Feng Sha the Wind Devil didn't remind us this time, I'm afraid we would be in trouble. An immortal god from the Mingwang Immortal Sect said with a bitter face. We didn't expect to meet him here. Feng Ma and Feng Sha shook their heads. When we go back, order the disciples of the Immortal Sect not to provoke the Dragon King of the Dragon Sect in the future. An immortal god said with a solemn look, if anyone dares to provoke him, the Immortal Sect's law enforcement team will punish him directly. Okay. The other three nodded. Provoking an opponent who was even stronger than them was undoubtedly courting death. Although they were amiable this time, it was hard to guarantee that some blind Immortal Sect disciple would anger the Dragon King and become their enemy. Let's go back. The 6 people moved and quickly flew toward the Immortal Sect. At this moment it was only 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock was not a rest for most of the Immortal Sect's warriors. A warrior could sleep for 5 to 6 hours a day. All the Immortal Sect deacons and elders come over. 2 immortal gods from the Puppet Immortal Sect and the Mingwang Immortal Sect came to the main peak of the Immortal Sect, their voices directly covering the entire Immortal Sect. The Sect Master and the others have already destroyed the Dragon Gate. It must be, the Immortal God must have killed the Dragon King. Haha, maybe the Dragon King's corpse was directly brought here and hung on the city gate to warn everyone. Inside the Immortal Sect, the disciples of the Immortal Sect heard the sect leader's voice, and their faces were filled with excitement. One by one, the experts of the Immortal Sect flew toward the main peak with excited faces. The sect leader and the others had just left. Now that they had returned, they must have finished off the reckless Dragon King of the Dragon Sect. Sect leader, deputy sect leader. The experts of the Immortal Sect came to the main peak and saw the 2 white figures standing in the middle. They called out respectfully. Sect leader, has the murderer been killed? The bald old man asked excitedly. When the 2 immortal gods heard his words, the corners of their mouths could not help but twitch. Fortunately, the white light covered their faces. Today we will announce something. You will pass it on to every disciple of the Immortal Sect today. The Mingwang Immortal Sect's Sect Master raised his voice and said in a deep voice. Sect Master, please speak. The group of Immortal Sect powerhouses immediately bowed. From today onwards, no disciple of the Mingwang Immortal Sect is allowed to provoke the Dragon Sect or the Dragon King. Otherwise, the sect rules will punish them. The Mingwang Immortal Sect's Sect Master ordered them with a firm tone. What? Everyone in the shop was stunned, and their faces revealed an incredulous look. If you don't want to die, then don't provoke them. They are not people that our Immortal Sect can provoke. In addition, the Dragon King of Dragon Gate has opened a forging shop on the ancient street of Jianghu City. Only 2 sets of materials are required to forge spirit weapons. 3 sets of materials are required to forge pills, and 4 pills are required to forge pills. No spirit stones are required. There is one condition, which is to only forge pills above level 6 and spirit weapons above level 11. It's quite suitable. If you want to forge, you can go there. Chapter 732. Chapter 732, The Sky of River City, October 20th. Silence. In the hall of the main peak of the Mingwang Immortal Sect, all the experts of the Immortal Sect were completely stunned. Their eyes were wide open and filled with disbelief. They couldn't afford to offend him. Their sect leader actually said that the other party was an existence that they couldn't afford to offend. This caused everyone's faces to reveal shock. Pass down the order. The two immortal gods of the Ming Wang immortal sect didn't want to stay here any longer. After all, this was a very shameful matter. The two figures moved and directly disappeared, leaving behind a group of immortal sect experts who were dumbstruck. Sect leader actually said that the Dragon Gate is an existence that our immortal sect cannot afford to offend. An old man's eyes flickered as he muttered. Lord Sect Master said that it was not an existence that they could provoke, which also meant that it was not an existence that their Ming Wang immortal sect and Puppet immortal sect could provoke. They knew that their two immortal sects currently had a total of 6 immortal gods. 6 immortal gods did not dare to provoke the other party? Then what exactly was the other party's existence? Just how powerful is this Dragon King of the Dragon Gate? In particular, the sect master actually said that we can go there to forge spirit weapons. Just how terrifying is the other party that made our Lord Immortal God lower his head? An elder said with an ugly expression. It was understandable that the other party was very powerful if they did not provoke him. However, the Immortal God said that they could go to the other party's place to refine pills and weapons. The indirect propaganda was that their Immortal God was completely suppressed by the other party. Otherwise, how could they publicize an enemy's weapon refining and pill refining shop? Send the order. Since the sect leader has said it, then the other party is definitely not someone we can offend. Don't let our immortal sect suffer a powerful enemy. The bald old man sighed slowly. If you want to blame someone, blame Lao Bai and the others for their bad luck. They provoked the immortal god and were directly killed. It's their fate now. Okay. The group of immortal sect powerhouses nodded slightly and scattered in all directions. An opponent that even the sect leader didn't dare to provoke could possibly destroy their immortal sect. This Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, this former Jianghu force, simply shocked them. It was the same on the Puppet immortal sect's side. For a moment, all the experts of the two immortal sects fell silent. Then, on the same night, a piece of news that shocked all the disciples of the Shunding world came. All disciples of the Puppet immortal sect of the Ming Wang immortal sect are forbidden to provoke the members of the Dragon Gate and the Dragon King of the Jianghu city in the future. Those who violate the sect rules will be punished. In addition, the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate has opened a forging shop on the ancient street. It's more suitable. You can go there to refine spirit tools and elixirs. When this order was given, the entire Shunding world was shocked. Everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. Everyone's eyes were dull. Tonight, all the disciples of the immortal sect had angrily vowed to destroy the Dragon Gate and the Dragon King. In the end, the Lord Immortal God gave the order directly at night. What did this mean? They couldn't afford to provoke the Dragon Gate or the Dragon King. They even gave the order that if anyone dared to provoke the Dragon Gate and the Dragon King, the sect rules would be punished and the law enforcement team would punish them. They even publicized the other party's forging shop. Even if the elite disciples of the immortal sect were killed and the elders of the half-step immortal god were killed, the immortal god still gave such an order. Everyone's furious mood was instantly splashed with a bucket of cold water. Those disciples of the immortal sect who were about to say that they wanted to whip the corpse shut up. Those disciples who swore to take revenge also shut up. When the warriors of the aristocratic families in Jianghu City received the news, their eyes widened and their faces were filled with shock. Their backer, the immortal sect they had joined, had bowed to the Dragon King. Although Jianghu City was still the territory of their immortal sect in the future, the king here had changed. It was still the same old king. The Dragon King was still the Dragon King. In just one night, Jianghu City had changed. The next morning, Wang Xian came to the school and began his leisurely life as a student. In the school, the students greeted him respectfully as senior and student Wang Xian. When the disciples of the immortal sect met Wang Xian, they even called him Dragon King in horror. This made the rest of the students dumbfounded. The high and mighty disciples of the immortal sect had never placed them in their eyes. Now, when they met Wang Xian, they greeted him even more respectfully than they did. "Boss, you are so awesome. The immortal sect is bowing its head. You actually made our immortal sect bow its head." Wang Dahai stared at Wang Xian in shock and shouted loudly. "The Ming Wang immortal sect knows about our relationship. They didn't make things difficult for you, right? If they make things difficult for you, tell me." Wang Xian smiled and said to Wang Dahai, No. Now, because our relationship is better, the immortal sect asked me to maintain a good relationship with you. They even gave me a lot of rewards. Yee. Wang Dahai said happily. That's good. Wang Xian smiled and started to chat with Wang Dahai. Meanwhile, the group of Draconids entered the Jianghu and started to gather information. The appearance of the immortal sect made the information of the Zhitian group almost useless. It was very difficult for the Zhitian group to enter the immortal sect. Therefore, the group of Draconids had to go there personally. The Draconids were already able to take charge of their own affairs. There was no need for them to do anything personally. All they had to do was wait for the results. They sat on the fishing platform and watched the storm with a smile. Dragon King, the first-grade pavilion, has been transformed into a forging workshop. It has been completed. After school in the afternoon, Mo Qinglong came to Wang Xian's side and said to him, "So fast? The transformation was completed in one day." Wang Xian asked in surprise. "Dragon King, we asked the disciples of the puppet immortal sect to help us with the renovation. They are very fast in this aspect." Mo Qinglong said to Wang Xian, "Oh, let's go and take a look. If the renovation is done, we will start our business in 2 days." Wang Xian said with a smile. Refining artifacts and pills was the fastest way to obtain resources. As long as his forging workshop was publicized, it would be even faster than robbing money in the future. At this moment, in the region of the Yellow Cauldron World. The Yellow Cauldron World had a total of 3 immortal sects: the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, the Hunyuan Immortal Sect, and the Upper 9 Immortal Sections. Of the 3 immortal sects, the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and the Hunyuan Immortal Sect had always been enemies. As for the Upper 9 Immortal Sect, they belonged to a neutral force. The 3 immortal sects were evenly matched. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect had 1 middle-level immortal, the Hunyuan Immortal Sect had 3 lower-level immortals, and the Upper 9 Immortal Sect also had 3 lower-level immortals. Overall, the difference in strength between the 3 immortal sects was not too great. It was basically impossible to devour or destroy the other party. I've made a breakthrough. I finally made a breakthrough. In one of the mountain peaks of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect, the Golden Mountain Peak looked abnormally dazzling. An old man with disheveled hair roared with excitement on his face. Streams of golden liquid flowed around the old man's body, and the terrifying energy was completely restrained. Congratulations on the Grand Elder's breakthrough. Beside him, a middle-aged old man looked at the old man with excitement. Chapter 733. Chapter 733, Beauty Saving Hero 1, 11/20. My cultivation base has broken through. In the future, the resources in the Yellow Cauldron domain will have to be redistributed. Streams of golden liquid flowed into the old man's eyes as he slowly walked out. After walking out of the mountain peak, he looked towards the position in front of him. Grand Elder, your current strength is completely comparable to Ling Xiao. Heaven and earth, it's time for our Chaos Origin Immortal Sect to take control. The middle-aged man next to him said with a twinkle in his eyes, "We'll go straight to the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and ask them to hand it over." That's right. As long as we occupy the heavens and earth, our immortal sect will be able to nurture even more elite disciples. The old man next to him echoed. There's no rush. Ling Xiao once killed my son. Now that my cultivation base has broken through, I'm completely unafraid of him. I'll let him experience the pain of losing his own son too. The old man's expression was slightly malevolent as he spoke with a fierce gaze. The middle-aged man and the old man by the side were slightly startled. They frowned and said, "Grand Elder, now that we have signed an agreement, immortal gods are not allowed to fight among immortal sections. The disciples of our Chaos Origin Immortal Sect are slightly inferior to the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect." Isn't there the Chaos Origin formation? Let the disciples bring the Chaos Origin formation. We have been fighting with the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect for hundreds of years. This time, we will completely suppress them and kill all their disciples, especially their son. With his son's talent, he will definitely become an immortal god in a few decades. The old man slowly opened his hand, and a large knife slowly condensed. Pa! He squeezed his arm, and the large knife immediately shrank into metal fragments, which scattered on the ground. Kill him. Kill. Ling Xiao once killed hundreds of our elite disciples. Today we will pay him back tenfold. These 2 days, the Immortal Sect will be discussing the first Immortal Sect disciple competition. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect only has 1 immortal god. Ling Xiao has to rush over. This is the best time for us to make a move. The two middle-aged elders also had cold expressions on their faces. You did well today. Tomorrow bring us to that Jinming mountain that you mentioned. In Yellow Heaven City, Xiao Yu raised her eyebrows in satisfaction and said to Feng Lingtian, all right. Young Miss Xiao Yu will do whatever she says. Feng Lingtian smiled and nodded as he said with an apologetic smile. Come early tomorrow, hee. Xiao Yu raised her head happily and walked into the restaurant. Elder Fan watched from the side with a smile on his face. The corners of his mouth revealed a meaningful smile. Phew, luckily she's in a good mood today. Damn it, she's been on tenterhooks all day. Tomorrow is the last day. Hurry up and send this god of plagues away. Seeing Xiao Yu and the others enter the restaurant, Feng Lingtian wiped the sweat off his forehead and let out a sigh of relief. Anyway, my father will leave tomorrow morning. He doesn't have to train in the morning. He'll just stay in the city for one night. Hee. Teacher, let's go. We'll play for one more day today. We'll go back tomorrow. The next morning, Xiao Yu knocked on Elder Fan's door and shouted, Xiao Yu, you can go by yourself. Later, the previous elders of the Thorn sect have something to ask of me. Elder Fan opened the door and said to Xiao Yu, Then how boring would it be for me to be alone? Xiao Yu pouted unhappily. Isn't there Ling Feng accompanying you? Master can't accompany you today. Elder Fan said with a smile. Okay. Xiao Yu could only nod and walk out. This girl isn't young either. Elder Fan looked at Xiao Yu's back with a smile. Unknowingly, Xiao Yu was already 22 years old. I think I'm already 31 years old. Elder Fan shook his head self-deprecatingly. A figure appeared in his mind and shook his head again. Let's go, little slave. Walking down the stairs, Xiao Yu saw Feng Lingtian downstairs and nodded at him in satisfaction. Young miss, I'll bring you to eat a delicacy first. The corner of Feng Lingtian's mouth twitched as he said to Xiao Yu, Let's eat while walking. It's the last day today, we have to stroll around properly. Xiao Yu said with a smile. Young miss, can you be more ladylike? How can you eat while walking? When Feng Lingtian heard her words, he could not help but exclaim. In the Yellow Cauldron world, the ancient rules were still maintained. Women had to be reserved when eating and there was no eating while walking. It was very disgraceful. And the thighs under this skirt. Feng Lingtian could not help but take a look. There was no woman in the Yellow Cauldron world who wore such revealing clothes. What are you talking about? Xiao Yu raised her eyebrows and looked at him. I'm talking about eating while walking. It's helpful for digestion. Very good, hee. Feng Lingtian's expression changed and he quickly said, Your desire to live is quite strong. Xiao Yu glanced at him and walked on the street like a young lady bringing her servant along. The people in Yellow Sky City were already used to this scene. They had also accepted the fact that their crown prince had become a servant. They should be heading to Jinmingshan. They must go to Jin Yaotai to go to Jinmingshan. Make preparations there. There's another girl who is very powerful. According to the information we received, Elder Jin and the others died at the hands of this girl. That girl came from the Dragon Gate, which used to be a big force in the Jianghu. We don't know anything else about her. The murderer who killed Jin Kunming? No matter who she is, kill them all. Yes. In the sky, a mirror reflected the figures of Xiao Yu and Feng Lingtian. Beside a middle-aged man, there were more than 10 people standing around. The middle-aged man in the middle concealed everyone with the strength of an immortal god. Even the 4 strange demons who had been following Xiao Yu all this time did not notice that there were people in the sky. This is Mount Jinming. You've never seen a golden waterfall before, right? Mount Jinming was located at the junction between Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and Hunyuan Immortal Sect. It was a mountain that was 1,000 meters tall. A waterfall was left behind on the mountain peak. At the spot where the waterfall had washed over, the mountain was golden. In the morning, under the sunlight, the entire waterfall was also golden. It's so beautiful. Let's go, take a few more photos of me later. Xiao Yu looked at the golden waterfall with a face full of pleasant surprise and ran towards it. You don't even recognize it, why are you running? So, I'll bring you to a good place to watch, the golden platform. Feng Lingtian raised his head and acted like he was familiar with this place. Only by doing so could he regain some of his pride. Then why aren't you leading the way for me? Are you asking for a beating? You. Hello. Feng Lingtian immediately increased his speed and led the way towards the Golden Brilliance stage. Oh! Suddenly, Feng Lingtian narrowed his eyes and looked at the group of people standing on the Golden Brilliance stage. On the golden platform there were more than a dozen people standing there. All of them were from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect. However, Feng Lingtian did not care. He raised his head and walked forward. Although the two immortal sects were enemies, they did not have time to fight because of the appearance of the immortal sections. In addition to the fact that the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect was relatively stronger, Feng Lingtian was even more fearless. Chapter 734. Chapter 734, Saving the Hero 2, 12/20. Hey you people of the Origin Immortal sect, get lost. Lingtian held his head high and shouted at the dozen or so people on the golden platform. Although he looked like a coward in front of Xiaoyu, his strength and talent were incomparable in the entire Yellow Cauldron world. The name of the evildoer Crown Prince was not given for nothing. The younger generation of the entire Yellow Cauldron world was really doing whatever they wanted. I was wondering who it was. So it's the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect's Crown Prince. A middle-aged man looked at Feng Lingtian and said with a smile. Since you know it's me, move aside immediately. The corner of Feng Lingtian's mouth curled up slightly. He slowed down his footsteps and stood shoulder to shoulder with Xiaoyu. He raised his head slightly and said, "Let me tell you, my reputation as the evildoer Crown Prince is not for nothing. In the entire Yellow Cauldron region, who would not give me face?" "Wow, you're quite powerful." Xiaoyu curled his lips in disdain. "That's not true." Feng Lingtian raised his head and puffed out his chest as though he felt that this was the proper way to behave. He brought Xiaoyu towards the golden platform. "Move aside, can't you see that this young master is here?" Feng Lingtian said arrogantly. With this attitude he was definitely a silk pants. Since the Crown Prince is here, we will naturally give you some space so that you and the beauty can enjoy this beautiful scenery. An elder said indifferently. "En?" Feng Lingtian pretended to nod his head coldly in front of Xiaoyu. "This is the best place to admire Mount Jinming and the waterfall." The two of them walked over and the dozen of them took the initiative to open up a path. Feng Lingtian pointed ahead and introduced the path to Little Feather. Whoosh, whoosh. However, at this moment, the two elders beside them instantly moved. A sharp longsword suddenly appeared and attacked Feng Lingtian and Little Feather's vital points. Not good. The moment they attacked, Little Feather's expression changed slightly and his body was instantly covered by black bone armor. A shield appeared on his left and right, and a bone whip appeared on his right hand. He propped it up with both hands. Pa-pa. The sound of metal colliding could be heard. Feng Lingtian, who was at the side, was shocked. He only reacted the moment Xiaoyu blocked the dagger. And what a quick reaction. Two surprised voices could be heard, followed by a terrifying aura erupting from the surroundings. A golden light surrounded the two of them. "You dare to attack me? You're courting death." Feng Lingtian felt the murderous aura around him, and his expression changed drastically. He looked at the long sword that was blocked by his side, and his forehead was full of cold sweat. Just now, if it wasn't for Xiaoyu helping him block, he would have been heavily injured or even killed. "This is your so-called territory?" Little Feather turned around and asked with a serious expression. The two old men who attacked them were both half-step immortal gods. If she hadn't cultivated in seclusion for a year, she wouldn't have been able to block the attack. Our Crown Prince is really arrogant. Since this is your territory, I'll let you be buried here forever. An elder revealed a mocking smile on his face. They were not worried at all when their attack missed. Instead, they stared at them with a cold smile. "If you dare to attack me, my father will definitely not spare your Chaos Origin Immortal sect." Feng Lingtian's expression turned cold as he stared at them warily. "Your father? So what? Since our Chaos Origin Immortal sect dares to attack, we are not afraid of your father's revenge. Little brat, you are definitely going to die today." An elder with a broken arm stared at Feng Lingtian mockingly. "Little brat, do you still remember me? One of my arms was cut off by you. Today I will chop you into pieces. If you want to kill me, all of you are not qualified to do so." Feng Lingtian was a little angry. Just a moment ago he was telling little Yu that everyone in the Yellow Cauldron region had to give him face. In the end he was instantly slapped in the face. If Xiaoyu hadn't saved him, he would have been finished. The feeling of being slapped in the face was burning hot and painful. He wasn't worried that he would be left here. With the shadow evasion technique he could definitely escape. Aren't you bragging now? Xiao Yu turned his head and looked at Ling Tian with some ridicule. He didn't care too much about the dozen people in front of him. Although the group of draconids did not follow him, there were still 4 strange demons around him. With her own strength, even if she stayed behind to fight with them, she would still be able to destroy them. Let's leave this place first. Wait for me to call someone over to let you see how this young master will teach them a lesson. Feng Lingtian's face turned red as he gritted his teeth and said, "All right." Xiao Yu smiled and nodded. Kiki, as expected of our crown prince. He's still so confident at this moment. Diske, with a beautiful lady accompanying him, it's better for you not to leave today. Even if you want to leave, you won't be able to. An old man with a white beard and the length of a palm laughed and said, "Wang." Just as he finished speaking, a golden light suddenly flashed in the surroundings. Ah! Xiao Yu and Feng Lingtian were stunned and quickly looked around. Chaos Origin Formation. Feng Lingtian's expression changed drastically and a trace of fear appeared in his eyes as he exclaimed, "Since we have made a move, Crown Prince, do you think we will let you escape?" The white-bearded elder laughed as he said. A dozen people slowly surrounded the two of them. What is Chaos Origin Formation? Xiao Yu saw Feng Lingtian's expression change and asked him curiously. Origin Formation, a Grade 2 formation. It is the mountain-protecting formation of the Origin Immortal sect. Once the formation is activated, even immortal-level experts will find it hard to enter. Similarly, the people inside will not be able to leave. The Origin Formation's defense depends on the area it covers. If it only covers a radius of 4 to 5 kilometers, even a high-level immortal would not be able to break it. Feng Lingtian said with an ugly expression. The Crown Prince is really smart. The white-bearded elder beside him praised with a smile. Looks like you guys are really trying to kill me. Feng Lingtian's expression was extremely ugly. Only the effect of defense. Xiao Yu narrowed her eyes slightly and said to Feng Lingtian. Only defense. Feng Lingtian gritted his teeth. Today we are considered to have fallen here. It's me who dragged you down. Doom my ass. Look at your cowardly face. I will protect you. Xiao Yu looked around with a relaxed expression. There were a total of 15 people, 13 infant realm experts, and 2 half-step immortal realm experts. They were ready to fight. Great Aunt, if we can get out of here alive today, you can call me your slave in the future. Feng Lingtian looked around and his heart trembled slightly. It was true that he was a demonic crown prince, but that was only when compared to the younger generation of the same level. The group of people in front of him were several times his age. In particular, the spiritual weapon in the other party's hand was not inferior to his at all. It was already very impressive for him to be able to fight against 2 infant realm experts alone. He clearly did not believe that Xiao Yu was able to deal with 2 half-step immortal gods and 11 infant realm experts. This time the odds were against him. Chapter 735. Chapter 735, Beauty Saving the Hero 3:13/20. I don't have any land, I don't need a mule, I don't need a horse, I just need a servant. Hearing what Feng Lingtian said, Xiao Yu's lips curled up. Alright, if I can get out today, I, the Crown Prince, will be your servant. Feng Lingtian gritted his teeth and scanned his surroundings vigilantly. Hee, I will definitely take you in as a servant. The bone whip in Xiao Yu's hand began to grow longer and slowly split into more than 10 pieces. So it's still a pair of lovebirds. It's so good to have a companion on the road. Kill? The white-bearded elder saw Xiao Yu's confident expression and his eyes revealed a cold expression as he shouted. In an instant, a terrifying blade light and sword light formed and the aura of a golden mountain filled the surroundings. Feng Lingtian's expression changed drastically. Poo. However, at the instant his opponent attacked, piercing sounds could be heard. Not good, there are people around. A middle-aged man saw a white figure suddenly appear behind the old man in front of him, and his terrifying claws directly pierced through his body. His expression changed drastically as he shouted loudly. Bang 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 bang. The 4 strange demons directly pushed down the 4 corpses. Their bodies were suffused with white light as they retreated backward. The white light began to slowly dim. 10 seconds later it disappeared again. The four white figures that suddenly appeared instantly attacked and killed four people. One of them was even a half-step immortal god. The people from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect were stunned. Their faces were filled with fear as they hurriedly stopped the attacks in their hands. Feng Lingtian was also stunned as he stared at the corpses on the ground in disbelief. Gulp, those four figures, that what? My brother sent them to protect me. Your father is an immortal god, why didn't he send some experts to protect you? Seriously? Xiao Yu glared at Feng Lingtian and said unhappily. What the fuck? The corner of Feng Lingtian's mouth couldn't help but twitch. His brother sent him here to protect her? With his strength reaching the infant realm, how could his father still send people to protect him? For an infant realm expert, you could only send people to protect an infant realm expert at most. Why couldn't you send a half-step immortal god to protect him? There were only 3 or 4 half-step immortal gods in the entire immortal sect. Was this possible? Impossible. With his strength, there wasn't much need to send an infant realm expert to protect him. This was because his strength was already strong enough among the infant realm. If he really encountered a strong enemy, he could run even if he couldn't win. But now, compared to this young miss in front of him, he was simply a poor prince. The other party was already a terrifying existence of half-step immortal gods. It didn't say that there were 10 infant realm experts following him on the surface. There were even 4 terrifying hidden experts in the dark, killing 1 half-step immortal god and 3 infant realm experts with a single move. Amazing. This protective force was practically invincible under the current situation where the immortal god was forbidden to make a move. This Grandand is fucking awesome, my little life is finally saved. Feng Lingtian's eyes revealed an excited expression, almost waving his flag and shouting. Little slave, calm down, there's still 1 half-step immortal god and 9 infant realm experts. Xiao Yu waved his hand at him with a smile on his face. Cha hee hee, there's still a bunch of scum like them. Young miss, you can handle them all by yourself. After surviving the calamity, Feng Lingtian gave up on his bottom line and said with excitement. How is this possible? The white-bearded old man widened his eyes and scanned his surroundings vigilantly. His scalp was slightly numb. There were actually 4 terrifying experts who were good at hiding around her to protect her. What kind of fucking identity did she have to have such experts to protect her? Didn't they say that she was from a faction in the pugilistic world? When did she become so perverted to casually send 4 such terrifying existences to protect a young girl? Fuck. The remaining 11 people did not even need to attack Feng Lingtian and Xiao Yu. Now, it was time for them to be wary of the attacks around them. They tried their best to sense their surroundings, but they did not sense anyone. This made their expressions even more awkward. It's our turn to attack. Don't be so useless. Pick 2 and leave the rest to me. Xiao Yu held the bone whip in his hand and swung it forward. More than 10 bone whips were like poisonous snakes, coiling around the experts one after another. Haha, if you want to kill this young master will kill all of you today. Feng Lingtian's face revealed an excited expression. The 6 spirit swords in his interspatial ring instantly attacked the 2 infant realm experts. Damn it. The faces of the people from the chaotic origin immortal sect were extremely unsightly. The side that originally surrounded and attacked was actually attacked now. Kill? The experts from the chaotic origin immortal sect braced themselves and instantly went up to meet the attack. Numerous golden sword lights and saber lights slashed towards the bone whip. Hey chimp, you think you can kill me? Xiao Yu snorted coldly. The bone whip in her hand shook, and numerous sword lights and saber lights directly scattered. Her body moved and she stood up to attack the white-bearded elder. Chaos Golden Saber. The white-bearded elder's expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth, and the golden saber in his hand trembled. A resplendent saber light seemed as if it was about to pierce through the void, slashing towards Xiao Yu. Ping! The shield in Xiao Yu's left hand blocked, easily blocking the elder's chaos golden saber. You're courting death. She waved her right hand continuously, and bone whips that emitted terrifying demonic chi shot towards the 9 people around her. Ping ping ping. Golden door-shaped defenses appeared in front of them, blocking the bone whips. Ah! Right at this moment, 4 miserable cries sounded, and 4 terrifying white figures appeared once again. Haha, awesome. When Feng Lingtian heard the miserable shrieks from the side, he turned around and revealed an excited expression. It's over. 4 more infant realm experts had died and there were only 7 out of 15 of them. The 7 experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect revealed expressions of despair. "Sir, quickly remove the formation and let us out." The white-bearded old man's eyes revealed a look of fear as he shouted loudly. Everyone was originally in the Chaos Origin formation to prevent Feng Lingtian and Xiaoyu from escaping. However, it had now become their cage, making it difficult for them to escape. Everyone was terrified and wanted to order the immortal god controlling the formation to remove it. At this moment, 4 to 5 people were standing in the air above them. Their expressions were extremely ugly. "Sir, Elder Jean and the others have failed. Should we remove the array formation?" An old man said with some fear on his face. The flawless ambush attack and even the use of the Immortal Sect's Chaos Origin array had actually failed. That terrifying 4 white shadows and that powerful girl. Even if they were watching from here, they felt their scalps go numb in some fear. The body of the middle-aged immortal god in the center was slightly trembling, and his eyes were filled with a crazy killing intent. "No need. Call all the infant realm experts of the immortal sect over, and bring over the immortal blasting stones." Chapter 736. Chapter 736, Beauty Saving Hero 4, 14/20. After paying such a high price, if we still don't succeed, our Chaos Origin Immortal sect will lose a lot of face. Moreover, Grand Elder told him to die, so he must die. The middle-aged man's face was full of frost. The coldness on his face slowly disappeared, and he became extremely indifferent. "Yes, Vice Sect Leader." The experts next to him trembled, and a hint of fear flashed through their eyes as they nodded. "Hurry up. We must kill him before the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect discovers him. Otherwise, all our efforts will be for naught." "Vice Sect Leader, are you going to bring all the immortal destroying demolition stones?" the old man asked in a deep voice. Immortal destroying demolition stones were an extremely precious one-time use item. This item was specially used to counter the Immortal Gate's protective array. If there were too many immortal destroying demolition stones, they could even cause damage to immortal gods. It was extremely terrifying. "Bring them all," the middle-aged man said with a dark expression. "Yes." A few elders quickly flew towards the Chaos Origin Immortal Gate. Are those 4 terrifying creatures human or not? How can they have such a powerful concealment effect? And the strength of that girl is definitely not something an ordinary half-step immortal god can compare to. The former Jianghu Dragon Gate, a faction in the real world, how could they have such terrifying experts? Could there be even more powerful immortal gods? The middle-aged man's eyes flickered as he looked down. However, at this point there was no room for retreat. At this moment, within the Chaos Origin array, the group of experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect were in a complete mess. There were only 7 experts left. Not only did they have to face this powerful girl, they also had to be careful of the sudden attack in the air. This caused their hearts to be filled with despair. The 2 infant stage experts were unable to dodge in time and were directly entangled by the 2 bone whips. The bone whips were filled with terrifying sharp blades, directly causing their bodies to be covered in bloody scars. Following that, they were flung heavily. The 2 infant realm experts were killed. Feng Lingtian glanced at Xiaoyu's terrifying attack and couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. However, following that, his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. If he couldn't even compare to a girl, then what kind of man was he? In an instant, the spirit sword in his hand stirred up a violent gale, bringing along a terrifying wind howl as he attacked the 2 infant realm experts in front of him. The 2 of them were already filled with fear, only displaying 70 to 80% of their strength as they passively dodged Feng Lingtian's attack. Pooh. Suddenly they felt the pain coming from their chests, and their hearts instantly fell into despair. At the same time, there was also a kind of relief. I'm destined to not be able to kill a single person. FUCK, I'm the crown prince. When did I become a gigolo? I need to hide behind a woman. The corner of Feng Lingtian's mouth twitched as he looked to the side. On Xiaoyu's side, there was a completely dominating attitude. This made him sigh at the gap between him and her. It was simply too big. No. The last scream came from the white-bearded elder. In a short 5 minutes, 2 half-step immortal gods and 13 infant realm experts were all killed. Young miss, you are simply too powerful. Feng Lingtian looked at the corpses around him and came to Xiaoyu's side with excitement. Of course, why would I be as useless as you? Xiao Yu mocked him without giving him any face. The corner of Feng Lingtian's mouth twitched and he muttered softly, "Actually, my strength is also very powerful among those of the same level. Tiske, you even said that you, the demonic crown prince who no one dares to provoke in the entire Yellow Cauldron region, have to give you face. What? Are you using swords and sabers to give you face?" Xiao Yu glared at him and looked around. "Wait for me to leave, I'll teach them a lesson," Feng Lingtian said with a slightly red face. "The formation hasn't been withdrawn yet, how are we going to leave?" Xiao Yu looked around and frowned as she asked Feng Lingtian. "Don't worry. There are quite a number of people who have come to Mount Jinming. Very soon, someone will notice something strange here." Feng Lingtian said with a smile. "Tell me, if we can see the situation outside, will the people outside also be able to see us?" Xiao Yu suddenly said with a frown. "Of course." Feng Lingtian nodded his head as though it was a matter of course. "How did the array activate just now? Also, if the chaotic immortal sect wanted to kill us, why didn't they remove the array after they failed? Why are they still here? If they were discovered, wouldn't the array be occupied?" Xiao Yu asked a series of questions. Feng Lingtian frowned. He had never encountered such a thing since he was born with a golden key in his hand. In the past, no one in the entire Yellow Cauldron world dared to provoke him. As a result, his analytical ability was even inferior to Xiao Yu's. "You're really an idiot." Xiao Yu could not help but criticize him when she saw his appearance. I. Feng Lingtian was completely defeated. He opened his mouth and his face fell. Not good. At this moment, Xiao Yu's face revealed an embarrassed expression. In his line of sight, more than 20 experts flew over. All of them were at the infant realm. Feng Lingtian turned his head and looked over. His expression was also slightly embarrassed. The 15 experts from before, together with the 20 experts now, all the infant realm experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect are here. Be careful. Xiao Yu's face revealed a vigilant expression. After 15 experts died, more than 20 experts came. Clearly they weren't seeking death. Jin Beihong, are you guys going to completely shed all pretense of cordiality with the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect? Right at this moment, an old man glowing with blue light suddenly appeared beside the vice sect master of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect. Huh? Seeing this old man arrive, the middle-aged man's expression turned slightly awkward. He asked coldly, "What? You want to save him? Aren't you all afraid that Ling Xiao will disregard the agreement between the immortals and gods and fight to the death with your immortal sect?" The old man with the blue light did not answer his question. His gaze flickered as he asked, "Ling Xiao. Since we dare to make a move, then we can deal with Ling Xiao. Our Grand Elder has already broken through." The corners of the middle-aged man's mouth curled up slightly as he stared at the old man with the blue light. "I see. Our Upper Nine Immortals sect will not interfere in your grudges." The old man with the blue light on his body nodded slowly and looked down. Below, more than 20 infant realm experts came to the edge of the formation. Each of them was holding a golden stone. Immortal destroying exploding stone. The old man who was emitting a blue light had a trace of surprise in his eyes as he watched silently. Not good, immortal destroying exploding stone. Inside the formation, when Feng Lingtian saw more than 20 infant realm experts taking out the golden stone, his face revealed a look of fear. Run. The power of the immortal blasting stones can threaten immortal realm experts. Let's run. Feng Lingtian was shocked and shouted loudly. At this moment, the formation disappeared and the immortal blasting stones were thrown at them. Chapter 737. Chapter 737, Beauty Saving Hero 5, 15/20. Xiao Yu's expression changed slightly when she saw the object they threw at her. She was prepared to flee in all directions. However, the terrifying immortal bursting explosive stone did not attack them from the center. Instead, it sealed off all the areas they could escape from. We're finished. When Feng Lingtian saw the immortal bursting explosive stone that was sealed off, despair appeared on his face. This time he was even more desperate than when he was surrounded by 15 experts from the immortal sections. Xiao Yu's expression changed slightly, and the black bone shield on his left hand grew bigger. At this moment, Feng Lingtian felt the black bone shield surrounding him. My defense is very strong. Xiao Yu looked at Feng Ling Tian and said to him. Boom. However, at this moment, the immortal bursting explosive stones surrounding them exploded. A terrifying power. Even from 100 meters away, Xiao Yu could feel a terrifying energy rushing towards her body. Pooh. Xiao Yu's expression changed drastically as she spat out a mouthful of blood onto Feng Lingtian's body. Not good. Her expression changed. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, continuous explosions sounded as Xiao Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. Feng Lingtian was completely stunned as he looked at the blood in front of him. Boom, boom. However, at this moment, an incomparable explosion sounded above their heads. It was as though the sky had collapsed. The ground had collapsed. Crack, crack. Cracks appeared on Xiao Yu's shield. Her expression changed and a trace of fear appeared in her eyes. The bone shield itself was a part of her body. She was originally a mutated bone dragon and the bone shield was her physical body. Now that the bone shield was cracked, it was equivalent to her body being heavily injured. Crack, crack, crack. The sounds of explosions in the surroundings continued. Drops of fresh blood dripped from the bone shield and fell towards the ground. The fresh blood dripped onto Feng Lingtian's body, causing his dazed eyes to regain some color. The sounds of explosions in the surroundings began to decrease. He quickly looked over and discovered that Xiao Yu's face was extremely pale, as though there was no life left in him. No, why am I so useless? When Feng Lingtian saw this scene, his heart suddenly ached. His eyes were blood red and his face slowly turned sinister. Drops of fresh blood were spat out from his mouth, and his body was emitting a green wind radiance. The wind light directly tore through his clothes. Pooh! Large mouthfuls of blood were spat out from his mouth, and the entire world seemed to quiet down in his ears. The sound of an explosion, the sound of an immortal breaking stone being thrown over. Ah! His eyes began to bleed. He picked up Feather's body and instantly flew into the sky. Shadowless blood escape. With a roar, he flew towards the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect at a speed that was 3 to 4 times faster than usual. Stop him. Kill him. The surrounding Chaos Origin Immortal sects saw the figure that suddenly flew out and roared loudly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, golden figures charged towards Windling Tian. Damn it. How can there be such a terrifying defense in that little bastard's explosive speed? So fast. In the sky, the vice sect leader of the Origin Immortal sect looked slightly embarrassed. He clenched his fists tightly and glanced at the old man not far away. Finally he relaxed. If it was not for the immortal god beside him, he would really dare to take the risk and attack. However, with the immortal god watching from the side, once he made a move, he would break the agreement between the immortal gods. If the immortal god broke the agreement, he would be punished by all the immortal gods. Up until now, no immortal god dared to break the agreement. Because of the rules, the first person who broke the agreement would definitely be the first person who broke the agreement. At that time, his attack would even cause the entire immortal sect to fall into a desperate situation. He did not dare to take the risk. Feng Lingtian's figure flew towards the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect at a terrifying speed. The people behind him could not keep up at all. The wind attribute was already one of the top 2 in terms of speed. Now that Feng Lingtian had used the blood sacrifice to explode, his speed was even more terrifying. None of the experts of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect had expected that they would be able to withstand the attack of the immortal blasting stone. If a half-step immortal god was hit by these immortal blasting stones, he would instantly be heavily injured. If a few dozen immortal god experts were hit at the same time, they would also be injured. At this moment, several deep craters that were hundreds of meters deep appeared on the spot where the explosion had occurred. If it wasn't for Xiao Yu being a mutated bone dragon, if it were any other divine dragon, the Earth Divine Dragon would probably not have been killed by the explosion. The other divine dragons would all die under this terrifying attack. Ah, we're almost there, we're almost there. Feng Lingtian hugged Xiao Yu's body and turned into a green light. Ah, someone. The Yellow Heaven Immortal sect was right in front of them, and the Infant Realm experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect behind them stopped with ugly expressions. Feng Lingtian's shrill voice rang out from the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect. This caused everyone from the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect to be completely stunned. It's the Crown Prince's voice. It's Ling Tian's voice. Shocked voices rang out one after another, and the expressions of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect experts changed drastically as they instantly flew into the sky. The Crown Prince's voice was too shrill, causing them to panic. Crown Prince. Ling Tian. Ling Tian. When the group of Immortal Sect's Infant Realm experts saw Feng Lingtian's figure, their faces changed drastically as they flew over. The group of experts instantly used wind energy to support Feng Lingtian's body. Hurry up and save him. Hurry up. Feng Lingtian looked at the elders and deacons around him and shouted loudly. I'm too useless, too useless. I actually need a woman to protect me. Feng Lingtian kept on saying, causing the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's experts' expressions to change. Lingdeng, go to the Medicine Peak, let's go to the Medicine Peak. Everyone quickly looked at Xiao Yu in his arms, looking at the bone shield that was bleeding, and their expressions changed. So, everyone instantly landed on a mountain peak. Bring all the medicinal pills of the Immortal Sect over, bring them all over. Ling Tian frantically ordered. Yes, yes, old Feng, bring over all the medicinal pills in the Immortal Sect, all of them. When the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's experts saw their Crown Prince in such a crazed state, their expressions changed drastically as they shouted. Save her, we must save her. Ling Tian's mind seemed to have been stimulated as he roared in anger. Ling Tian, calm down. Miss Wang Yu still has a lot of hope, it's just that her body has suffered a powerful attack. Elder Feng sensed Little Yu's body and heaved a sigh of relief as he spoke to Ling Tian. Ling Tian, who attacked you? An old man handed Ling Tian one pill after another as he spoke with killing intent in his eyes. It's the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. They used the Chaos Origin formation to trap us and used the Immortal Bursting Explosion Stone to attack us. If it wasn't for her blocking the attack for me, I'm afraid. I'm too useless. If it weren't for her, 2 half-step immortal gods and 13 infant realm experts would have already killed me. As Feng Lingtian spoke, he actually started to cry. He squatted on the ground and kept blaming himself. Chapter 738. Chapter 738, Injured, 16/20. The group of Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect elders and deacons looked at each other in dismay as they looked at their own Crown Prince. This was the first time they had seen their own optimistic Crown Prince in such a manner. That overbearing Crown Prince with terrifying talent who was always optimistic all day had actually squatted on the ground and started crying. The self-reproach on his face caused their faces to reveal a pained expression. From the Crown Prince's words they could guess a little. 2 half-step immortal god, 13 infant realm experts, and that terrifying immortal bursting explosive stone. With their Crown Prince's strength, he had no way of resisting. Just 2 half-step immortal god experts were enough to make it difficult for the Crown Prince to escape. Now that their Crown Prince could escape, it was obviously related to the heavily injured Miss Wang Yu. They had also heard from Elder Feng that the girl's strength was extremely terrifying and it wouldn't take long for her to step into the immortal realm. Primordial Immortal Sect, you are all courting death. Elder Feng's eyes were ice cold as he growled. Immediately activate the highest alert of the Immortal Sect and prepare for battle. An elder with a walking stick said in a deep voice. It's the Great Elder. The elders and deacons of the Immortal Sect immediately responded loudly. I'll contact the sect leader. We must cure this lady no matter how many pills we consume. Elder Feng enlightened the Crown Prince. The old man with a walking stick gave out orders one after another. In an instant, dozens of Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect experts immediately began to carry out their orders. The Hunyuan Immortal Sect had sent out such an expert to kill their Crown Prince. This was equivalent to declaring war. The sect leader only had one son, and he was also the future sect leader's successor of their immortal sect. They couldn't afford to lose him. Dong dong dong, dong dong dong. The rapid bell chimes resounded throughout Yellow Heaven City and Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, ringing incessantly in their ears. This caused the expressions of everyone in Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and Yellow Heaven City to change drastically. Highest alert. Everyone prepare your weapons. A roar resounded throughout Yellow Heaven City. In an instant, everyone entered battle mode. Highest alert. Highest alert. The actions of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect could already be upgraded to a war between immortal sections. Everything had to wait for the sect leader to come back and give the order. What's going on? Why is it the highest alert? At this moment, in a street in Yellow Heaven City, Elder Fan and the people from Thorn Sect had a slight change in expression. What is the highest alert? Elder Fan immediately asked the people from the Thorn Sect to the side. The highest alert means entering a state of battle. A war can break out at any time. This war is the war of the entire Immortal Sect. The people from the Thorn Sect said with faces full of fear. What happened? Elder Fan furrowed her brows and her expression changed slightly. She immediately picked up her phone to call Xiao Yu. However, the call could not get through. This caused her to have a bad premonition. I'll go look for Xiao Yu first. Elder Fan's figure moved and flew directly towards the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's location. The 10 Draconids not far away also furrowed their brows and hurriedly followed. This lady? Is Xiao Yu in your Immortal Sect? Yes, Miss Xiao Yu and our Crown Prince are in danger. Miss Xiao Yu is currently recuperating. Bring me there immediately. Elder Fan followed an elder from the Immortal Sect to the Medicine Peak. When he saw the pale-faced Xiao Yu lying on the bed, his expression changed slightly. Don't worry, Miss Wang Yu is already fine and is currently recovering. We will use the best medicinal pills to treat Miss Wang Yu. An elder in the room saw Elder Fan enter and immediately walked over to say, "Let me take a look at her." Elder Fan's expression was somewhat awkward, and he walked over with some self-blame in his heart. Sensing the injuries on her body, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. As both were mutated bone dragons, Elder Fan knew that Xiao Yu was only heavily injured and was not seriously injured. His gaze swept past the medicinal pills that contained powerful energy. These medicinal pills were enough to allow Xiao Yu to recover. His heart that had been lifted up also relaxed. With Xiao Yu's strength, how could he be injured when he was secretly protected by a half-step immortal god and 3 infant realm experts? Elder Fan's gaze swept past Feng Ling Tian, who was lying on the bed, and he spoke with Elder Feng and the others with a gloomy face. Huh? The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's Great Elder and Elder Feng were slightly surprised when they heard her words. Bah, bah, bah. At this moment, drops of blood suddenly dripped onto the ground. Everyone was stunned. The faces of the elders of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect changed, and they immediately took out their weapons. Strange demon, are you injured? Show yourselves. Elder Fan swept his gaze over, and his face changed slightly as he hurriedly said. Bzz. A strange demon appeared. His body emitted a faint white light. The white light energy slowly dissipated, revealing his true body. There was a terrifying wound on his body. Elder Fan's expression changed slightly. He immediately took out pills from his interspatial ring. Please give me some pills. Elder Fan said with a dark expression. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect elders beside him all sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the strange demon. A trace of fear flashed through their eyes. He was so heavily injured, yet he was still able to hide in the room and not be discovered by them. The person who shocked him the most was a very strange creature. Please hurry up. A trace of impatience appeared in Elder Fan's eyes, and a faint aura emanated from his body. Everyone was shocked again. They looked at each other and said, immediately take the medicinal pills to treat him. Of the 4 strange demons, only one has appeared. I'm afraid the others have already. Elder Fan's face was dark. At this moment she saw Feng Ling Tian walking towards Xiao Yu's bed. Her face was slightly dark as she said, Feng Lingdan, what exactly has happened to Xiao Yu? Let me tell you. Elder Feng looked at Elder Fan and slowly began to explain. Before they could say anything, a voice came from Xiao Yu's side. Elder Fan was stunned and immediately walked over. Xiao Yu, are you alright? Are you alright? Feng Ling Tian, who was standing at the side, saw that Xiao Yu had woken up and asked with an excited expression. Have you escaped? That's good. Looks like you still have some use. Xiao Yu looked at Feng Ling Tian and smiled. I'm useless. I'm completely useless. Feng Ling Tian stood there with his head lowered, his body trembling slightly. Xiao Yu was stunned for a moment before squeezing out a smile. It's still useful. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to escape. They are here to kill me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have. Feng Ling Tian lowered his head and said softly. Alright, if I didn't ask you to bring me to play, you wouldn't have been attacked. Everything is in the past, why are you still acting like a girl? Xiao Yu said, amused. Xiao Yu, if I had followed you today, you might not have been hurt. Elder Fan walked over and said to her with some self-reproach. Master, why would I blame you? It's not my fault. I was only hurt a little. Xiaoyu smiled. I'll tell your brother about this now. Elder Fan took out his phone and said. No, there's no need. I'll tell you when I'm better. Xiaoyu immediately shook his head and looked at his master. 3 strange demons may have died. Elder Fan sighed and said. Then I'll tell my brother. Xiaoyu was startled and said with some hesitation. Chapter 739. Chapter 739, Strength, 17/20. Brother. In the morning, Wang Xian suddenly received a call from Xiaoyu when he arrived at the first-grade pavilion that had been renovated. What's wrong? Are you coming back this afternoon or tomorrow morning? Wang Xian asked with a smile. I'm injured. Xiaoyu's slightly weak voice was heard. Ha! Wang Xian was stunned. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. I'll be there right away. Brother, don't come over. I'm calling you now. My injuries aren't too serious. I'll be fine in a few days. However, 3 of the strange demons might have died. Xiaoyu said to Wang Xian with a bitter expression. Just wait for me there. Wang Xian took a deep breath and said to Xiaoyu. Brother, I said it's fine. I'm not young anymore. I can't let you come whenever something happens. Xiaoyu said to him. Forget it. I'll let Ao Jian and Mo Qinglong and the rest go over. Wang Xian nodded. After chatting with him for a while, he hung up the phone. My younger sister has grown up. Wang Xian smiled faintly. Following that, his expression darkened as he looked at Mo Qinglong. Bring all the Ao Jian Ao demons and all the disciples of the Dragon Gate. Those who have already left, get them to head to the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. Contact Elder Fan when the time comes and let me know. This is a piece of soul-returning wood. Give it to the demonic beasts and see if you can revive the 3 demonic beasts that died. Head over immediately. It's the Dragon King. Mo Qinglong replied immediately. His body moved and he flew into the distance immediately. As long as I can protect him for as long as possible. Wang Xian smiled faintly and walked towards the villa. At this moment, a shadow flashed across the sky above the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. It was almost as if he had teleported. The shadow landed at the Medicine Peak and entered it directly. Sect leader. When the crowd saw the middle-aged man's figure, they immediately called out respectfully. N? The middle-aged man's face darkened as his gaze swept over and landed on Feng Lingtian. Hey, are you stupid? What are you standing here for? Feng Lingtian stood beside Xiaoyu's bed with his head lowered, thinking about something. Xiaoyu could not help but call out to him. Lingtian. The middle-aged man shouted at his son and walked over. Father. Feng Lingtian turned his head and revealed a self-mocking smile. Father, come and see Xiaoyu. See if you can treat her quickly. The middle-aged man was stunned when he saw his son's expression. He then turned to look at Xiaoyu and nodded. He then took out a medicinal pill from his interspatial ring. Level 8 healing medicine. The injuries on her body can be completely healed in 2 days. The middle-aged man said and handed it to Elder Fan. Elder Fan looked at it and directly put it into Xiaoyu's mouth. I have a simple understanding of the matter. Thank you for saving my son. Thank you. The middle-aged man looked at Xiaoyu and thanked him. Father, I'm useless. Feng Lingtian said with an ugly expression. If you're useless, then cultivate well. The middle-aged man patted his shoulder and said, Father will avenge you for this. I will. Feng Lingtian clenched his fists and looked at Xiaoyu. He said with determination, Don't worry, I'll let you protect me this time. I'll protect you in the future. Just you, cultivate for 8 lifetimes. Xiaoyu said with a smile. Feng Lingtian was stifled by her words and gritted his teeth. Just you wait. Sect leader, where did the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect get the guts to attack Lingtian? Elder Ming walked to the side of the middle-aged man and asked with a serious expression. I met Jianghu today. He has already broken through to the middle stage immortal realm. It must be because I killed his son that he would spare no expense to kill Lingtian. As the middle-aged man spoke, his eyes flashed with killing intent. However, since they dare to attack, we will accompany them to the end. Establish an assassination team and kill them for me. The strength of our Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's disciples far surpasses that of his Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. Since they dare to kill Ling Tian, they must be prepared to die. It's the sect leader. I will be in charge of the assassination team. Elder Feng's expression was solemn as he said, so what if the Golden Ancient Jia has broken through to the Middle Immortal Realm? Right now we are competing in the strength of the disciples of the Immortal Sect. Since they dare to touch us, they will have to bear the consequences of our crazy revenge. All right. The middle-aged man nodded his head slowly. Elder Feng immediately went out to prepare. The middle-aged man looked at his son and then at Xiao Yu, who was lying on the bed. A faint smile appeared on his face. When his eyes fell on the strange creature lying on the bed next to him, a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. The great elder of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect walked over and reported the situation one by one. Not long after, Elder Fan received a call from Imo Qinglong. Sect Master Feng, brother Xiao Yu has sent someone over. I'll go and pick him up. I'll have to trouble your immortal sect to pass through. Elder Fan said to the middle-aged man. Okay. The middle-aged man nodded. Miss Fan, I'll go with you. The great elder of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, who was holding a cane, said to Elder Fan. Okay. Elder Fan nodded and flew out. At the entrance of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, a group of Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect disciples stared at the group of people in front of them vigilantly. More than 80 Draconids followed Ajaya and Tang Yinshan out of 30 people. The other 50 Draconids had all arrived. In addition, Ao Jian and the 8 strange demons who were hidden in the air. And Ao Jian. The bodies of these people contained terrifying energy, making the disciples of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect full of vigilance. The great elder of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect swept his gaze across the crowd with a face full of shock. Ao Jian, come with me. Elder Fan said to them. Yes. Ao Jian nodded and followed Elder Fan towards Yao Feng. As soon as he stepped into the room, the middle-aged man instantly turned his head and stared at Ao Jian. His eyes flickered. Eldest Princess. Ao Jian walked to Xiao Yu's side and called out respectfully. Eldest Princess. At this moment, Ao Yao did not hide his figure. A white figure slowly appeared and called out. When the middle-aged man saw Ao Yao appear out of thin air, his expression changed drastically. A trace of shock flashed across his eyes. Yes, Ao Yao, go and take a look at your subordinates. Xiao Yu squeezed out a smile and said to Ao Yao. It's the eldest princess. Ao Yao nodded and moved to the side of the strange demon. Leader. The strange demon shouted in a low voice. Take me to the other 3 places of death. The strange demon said indifferently. Yes. Ao Yao helped the strange demon up, and the 2 figures disappeared into thin air. 2 immortal gods, and one of them has a terrifying concealing ability. A trace of shock flashed through the middle-aged man's eyes, and his gaze swept towards the position of the door, and the shock in his eyes became even greater. Over 50 infant realm experts. The girl's elder brother directly sent over a terrifying force that was comparable to their immortal sect. Chapter 740. Chapter 740, Gate of Immortality and Assassination 1/18/20. To send such a terrifying force just for his own sister, it really is. Inside the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, Ling Zhao's gaze swept across the group of powerful forces, and he was slightly shocked. He looked at the young girl lying on the bed and thought of Ao Jian and the name Ao Yao creature. The eldest princess. In ancient times, only the emperor's sister was called the eldest princess. Obviously the Dragon King was their king. Between immortals and gods, even a lower immortal would not be so respectful to a higher immortal. Not to mention that an immortal would treat a girl who had not reached the level of an immortal. To address the eldest princess respectfully, one could imagine the position of the girl in the Dragon King's heart. One had to know that his own son, the infant realm experts of the sect, would not normally address him as the crown prince, but directly address Ling Tian. This was because this was the dignity of the strong. Unless his son stepped into the immortal realm, only then could he be addressed as the crown prince. One could imagine how much the Dragon King doted on his sister. Sect leader, the assassination team has been formed. 10 infant realm experts and 50 Dan realm experts are waiting outside the door. Elder Feng came to the medicine peak and swept his gaze across the group of draconids at the door with a face full of surprise. His gaze was directed at their sect master Ling Xiao. Yes. Ling Xiao nodded slightly and slowly walked out of the door. Trash. At the side, Ao Jian and Mo Qinglong heard what Elder Fan had said to them. Ao Jian coldly looked at Feng Lingtian, who was not far away, and snorted coldly. Feng Lingtian heard Ao Jian's words and looked a little embarrassed. He lowered his head. Okay. Ao Jian, don't talk about him. It's already good enough that he can bring me out. Xiao Yu, who was at the side, had recovered a lot after taking a large number of pills. When she heard Ao Jian's words and looked at Feng Lingtian's face, she hurriedly said, "It's the eldest princess. The Dragon King said that I'll protect you in the future." Ao Jian nodded and said to Xiao Yu, No need. Forget it. I'll tell my brother." Xiao Yu waved her hand when she heard that Ao Jian was going to protect her. She knew what it meant to be an immortal-level powerhouse. To ask him to protect her was simply. However, Xiao Yu was very happy with her brother's love for her. No matter what danger she encountered, her brother would always be there. "Princess, let's go and take care of some matters." Mo Qinglong, who had just contacted Wang Xian, walked over and said respectfully to Xiao Yu. Okay, go. Xiao Yu nodded and looked at Feng Lingtian. Hey little slave, is there something wrong with your brain? Seeing that he was motionless, Xiao Yu could not help but shout. No, my brain is very normal. Feng Lingtian looked at Ao Jian's figure and said, I'm thinking, when will I have the strength of your brother? With this kind of power, I can protect you in the future instead of you protecting me. Xiao Yu was stunned for a moment before a smile appeared on his face. Don't compare yourself with my brother. My brother cannot be compared to anyone else. You are not bad yourself. A heaven's favored son, a demon prince, you are much more powerful than many other heaven's favored sons. Feng Lingtian was slightly bitter. If I don't compare myself to your brother, even you cannot be compared to him. I am different from you. You should have noticed something as well, so don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to my brother. Just be a good little slave from now on. Don't think too much. Xiao Yu said with a smile. Her brother had turned her into a divine dragon. Xiao Yu knew that their starting point had already far surpassed that of ordinary people. Even if Feng Lingtian was as strong as the number one heaven's favorite of Yellow Cauldron and the evildoer Crown Prince, he was still a human and could not be compared to them. I don't want to be a little slave. Feng Lingtian said with an embarrassed expression. What? You still want to be the master? Xiao Yu rolled her eyes at him and waved her hand. Let's retire, little slave. I'm too tired. I want to rest for a while. Feng Lingtian looked at Xiao Yu, who had her eyes closed, in a daze. Seeing her eyelashes flutter slightly, a hint of bitterness appeared on her face again. The Immortal Sect will provide you with all the information. This time, experts above the Dan stage are the targets of our assassination. We will kill anyone we see. However, don't be careless. Since the Hunyuan Immortal Sect dares to declare war against us, they will definitely have a backup plan, especially since the Supreme Elder of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect has already broken through to the middle-level Immortal Realm. According to the agreement of the Yellow Cauldron 3 Immortal Sects, the heaven and earth will belong to them. This assassination will last for a very long time. Everyone get ready. At the entrance, Ling Xiao ordered the group of Immortal Sect disciples in front of him with a dark expression. The Hunyuan Immortal Sect dared to attack his son. As an immortal god, Ling Xiao would naturally retaliate. Otherwise, it would be a waste to be an immortal god. Regardless of whether or not the other party's strength had increased significantly, they had to pay a heavy price for this assassination. Ling Xiao was already prepared to fight for a long time. Sect leader Ling, does the agreement between the immortals and gods mean that immortal-level experts are not allowed to make a move? At this moment, Mo Qinglong and Ao Jian walked out from the side and looked at Ling Xiao. Mo Qinglong asked, "Oh?" Ling Xiao glanced at Ao Jian and knew what they meant. With the Dragon King's love for his sister, he might really dare to make immortal-level experts make a move. It's best if the immortal-level experts don't fight, even if you haven't signed the immortal-level agreement. Ling Xiao looked at Ao Jian. He slowly reminded, the immortal-level experts are not allowed to fight in the immortal-level agreement. If the immortal-level experts have grudges, they can be resolved in two ways. One is a disciple battle. Each immortal sect will choose some disciples to fight to the death. The other method is a battle between the immortals and gods. Apply to all the immortals and gods. Under the agreement of both parties, a life and death battle will be held in a desert or an ocean. As for the rest, when someone attacks an immortal god, the immortal god can directly kill the attacker. When someone barges into the immortal sect, the immortal god can attack without any scruples. If the immortals do not attack because of the above conditions, they will be punished by all the immortals and killed. Ao Jian and Mo Qinglong nodded slowly, their eyes shining. In that case, Mo Qinglong glanced at the members of the dragon gate in front of him. Block the gate of the primordial immortal gate. Kill every single one of them who comes out. I still have 5 subordinates on my side. Let them enter the interior of the primordial immortal gate and assassinate them. Just as Mo Qinglong finished speaking, strange demon's voice came from the void. All right. Since the immortals and deities cannot attack, then we will not attack. Ao Jian nodded with a cold gaze. Mo Qinglong will lead all the dragon men to block their immortal gate. Strange demon will enter and assassinate them. They dared to hurt our eldest princess. Let them know what fear is and what despair is. Block the gate of immortality, assassinate. Chapter 741. Chapter 741, Immortal Gate Blocking and Assassination 2, 19/20. Immortal Gate Blocking. Assassination. Ling Xiao, Huang Tian and the others who were standing at the side were stunned. Their eyes widened as they looked at Mo Qinglong and the others in astonishment. What was the Immortal Gate blocking? It was a group of experts surrounding the entrance of another immortal gate. If the other party came out, they would kill them one by one. This was clearly telling you that if I wanted to fuck you, you could come out and fuck us. If you don't dare to come out, fine, then don't come out. If you don't come out, they won't care. We'll go assassinate you. This is a kind of above-board bullying and above-board insult, and it's above-board to kill you. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's assassination team was dumbstruck. You're trying to block an immortal sect from the Nine Cauldrons world. How can you be so awesome? Now, their Hunyuan immortal sect was trying to assassinate their crown prince, the son of their sect leader. At most, they would set up an assassination team to take revenge using assassination methods. That was because even if 15 top-tier experts of the Hunyuan immortal sect died, they still had a power that could not be ignored. If they were to fight, their Yellow Heaven immortal sect would also suffer heavy losses. But now, this group of people wanted to directly block the immortal sect. This was too arrogant. However, feeling the strength of this group of people, they pursed their lips and fell silent again. More than 50 infant realm experts. This force was even more than the infant realm experts of their Yellow Heaven immortal sect. In particular, besides the 5 people on the surface, according to the voice in the void, he still had 5 subordinates. These 5 subordinates might be around them, so they couldn't sense it. Even their sect leader couldn't find their specific location. A terrifying assassin, a natural-born assassin. This power did indeed have the right to block the immortal sect after 15 experts of the Chaos Origin immortal sect had died. And that terrifying assassin also had the ability to enter the immortal sect and assassinate the disciples of the Chaos Origin immortal sect. Sect Master Ling, I'll have to trouble everyone to take care of our eldest princess. Ao Jian said to Ling Xiao. Then the group of people moved and flew directly towards the Chaos Origin immortal sect. Ling Xiao's eyes sparkled as he watched the group of people fly away. What a domineering behavior. Elder Feng's eyes sparkled as he stared at the group of people flying away. His face was filled with shock as he said, "They are very strong. That middle-aged man who is like a sharp sword and that terrifying creature in the void. When they join forces, their strength is not weaker than mine." Ling Xiao said with a slight sigh. The moment Ao Yao appeared, he even felt a sense of fear. The other party took advantage of his unpreparedness and very likely assassinated him. Sect leader, then we. Elder Feng looked at the group of people in front of him somewhat awkwardly. 10 nascent realm and 30 Dan realm. This was already a very powerful force. However, compared to the group of people just now, they were simply too weak. They were still preparing to launch a sneak attack, while the others were openly blocking the immortal sect. The two were on completely different levels. They're theirs, we're ours. Ling Xiao said slowly. It's the sect leader. Elder Feng knew what the sect leader meant. His son had been assassinated, And in the end, there were even more people who had been implicated by a girl. How should he put it? There was a sense of shame and humiliation. This made him feel how his own son felt in front of that girl. Ling Xiao shook his head. Let's go over and take a look. We can't lose. Elder Feng's figure moved, and he led the assassination team to fly towards the location of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. The Chaos Origin Immortal Sect was located in a valley. The entrance to the valley was the entrance to the Hunyuan city of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. It extended all the way to the back and was the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. The entire area had a circumference of 50 kilometers. The Hunyuan city had a population of 2 to 3 million people. 80% of them were disciples and family members of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. On both sides of the Hunyuan city were huge mountains, creating a super city that was easy to defend but hard to attack. The gate of the city of origin was 20 meters high and 40 to 50 meters wide. From afar it looked very spectacular. After the Yellow Heaven Immortal Gate sounded the alarm, the gate of origin not far away also sounded the alarm. They did not dare to guarantee that Ling Xiao would not go crazy and start a war between the two immortal gates. Therefore the entire gate of origin was in a state of alert. On the city wall above the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect, a group of Chaos Origin city guards stood on top of it to patrol. The Chaos Origin Immortal Sect only has one main entrance. There might be a secret passage, but we can just block it here. The sun was high up in the sky. From afar, one could see more than 50 figures walking towards the direction of the Chaos Origin city with murderous auras. The main entrance of the Chaos Origin city was not closed because there was no need to close it. Although the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and the Hunyuan Immortal Sect had shed all pretense of cordiality, the Hunyuan city belonged to the immortal gods. Once someone dared to break in, the immortal gods could kill the intruders. There were many trucks outside the gate of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. The words Hunyuan were written on the trucks. Obviously, these were the trucks that the Hunyuan Immortal Sect had purchased outside. The Hunyuan Immortal Sect only has this one city gate. We can just block them here. Mo Qinglong looked around and a cold expression appeared on his face. Strange demon, don't make a move for the time being. First, block them outside the city. Then go to the city and kill them. Finally, kill them inside the Immortal Sect. Ao Jian stopped. Strange demon and I will not show ourselves. Ao Jian and Strange Demon, you don't have to show yourselves. Just leave it to us disciples of the Dragon Gate. If the immortal gods don't show themselves, we disciples of the Dragon Gate won't even care about a Hunyuan Immortal Sect. Mo Qinglong said confidently. Mo Qinglong's current strength was at the half-step Immortal God realm, while the others were all at the peak of the infant realm. With the cultivation under the spiritual energy waterfall and the one-year cultivation under the star guiding disc, their strength far surpassed the ordinary infant realm. Moreover, because of the divine dragon bloodline, although their combat strength was not at the half-step immortal god level, they could still resist 5 or 6 half-step immortal gods. The guy in front, you're standing in the middle and looking for death. Get lost. The truck was traveling on the road. When it saw Mo Qinglong and the others walking in the middle of the road, a middle-aged man stuck his head out and berated them. Are they from the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect? Mo Qinglong asked indifferently. That's right. Get out of the way. Don't court death. As the truck drove on without slowing down, the middle-aged man roared. That's right. Mo Qinglong and the others were expressionless. Motherfucker, who are these guys? The middle-aged man in the truck revealed a hint of anger. Get out of the way. Since they won't budge, I'll just ram them and kill them. Those who dared to block the path of their primordial immortal sect were courting death. This is a warning period. Don't tell me they're from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. The driver was slightly taken aback as he asked. If they're not from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, then I don't know where they came from to seek death in the real world. Just ram straight into them. I can't believe they won't budge. All right. Chapter 742. Chapter 742. Immortal Gate and Assassination 3 2020. Boom. A loud sound was heard at the gate of the Chaos Origin Immortal Gate. The loud sound was like a terrifying explosion. A few trucks that were rushing over were directly blown away in the middle of the road. A Draconid retracted his palm and continued to walk towards the city gate. 50 people were walking over, but they had an aura that could destroy a city. At this moment, the Hunyuan city guards standing on top of the city gate all looked over in astonishment. What happened? A middle-aged man looked over with a cold gaze. He narrowed his eyes and stared at the 50 or so members of the Dragon Palace who were walking toward them. Captain, they overturned our truck leaving the city. Could they be from the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect? A young man stood on top of the 20-meter-tall city gate, looking down and asking with a frown. No, they have short hair and their aura is different from that of the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect. I can't tell their cultivation level. The middle-aged man stared down and then snorted coldly. They dare to attack our truck. Let's go down. The middle-aged man moved and flew down directly. Around him, more than 10 guards immediately followed. Who are you? How dare you attack our truck? Do you know that you are courting death? The middle-aged man took out the spirit sword in his hand and coldly looked at Mo Qinglong and the others. With their backs against the majestic Hunyuan city and the Hunyuan Immortal sect, the guards of the Hunyuan city were not afraid of the 50 or so people. People from the Dragon Gate. Mo Qinglong did not stop. He looked at the 10 or so guards and waved his arm. A 10-meter-long demonic chi dragon claw directly attacked them. Enemy attack. The faces of the Hunyuan city guards changed drastically. They roared loudly and pulled out their swords to attack the demonic chi dragon claw. However, like ants shaking a tree, the dozen or so city guards couldn't stop them at all. They let out miserable shrieks. The sounds of enemy attacks and miserable shrieks traveled to the city gate of the chaotic origin immortal sect, causing the expressions of all the other city guards standing on the city gate to change slightly. Who dares to kill people in front of the city gate of the chaotic origin immortal sect? The voice of an infant realm expert who was guarding not far away from the city gate was heard. Soon after, an old man floated above the city gate and stared coldly at Mo Qinglong and the others. Mo Qinglong and the others did not answer. They raised their heads and glanced at the old man before walking toward the city gate expressionlessly. The old man sensed their strength and a trace of solemnity appeared on his face. 500 meters away from the city, Mo Qinglong and the others stopped. The 50-meter-long dragon people lined up on the wide road. From today onwards, we will kill every single disciple of the chaotic origin immortal sect that we see. At that moment, a cold voice rang out from inside Hunyuan city. The voice rang out for a radius of more than 10 kilometers. The old man standing above the city gate was stunned. In the city, the Hunyuan immortal sect experts who heard the voice were slightly stunned. Fuck, you're courting death. When the old man heard Mo Qinglong's words, his face instantly turned extremely ugly. A group of 50 people came to the entrance of their Hunyuan city. In the end, they said that they would kill every single Hunyuan immortal sect disciple they encountered. This was a blatant insult to their immortal sect. And from their stance, it was obvious that they wanted to block the gate. A blatant provocation and insult. The old man stood in the air 100 meters in front of the city gate. His body moved and metal swords appeared one after another. Leave him alone. Mo Qinglong looked at the old man who was 100 meters away from the city gate, and a trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. Yes. A series of voices sounded, and then the two draconids moved and attacked the old man at a terrifying speed. Infant realm. The old man's expression changed greatly when he saw the draconids who attacked him in an instant. The 1,000 metal long swords behind his back instantly covered the two of them, and he prepared to retreat. Two people who came out casually already had the strength of the infant realm, and there were more than 50 people on the other side. Could it be that all of them were at the infant realm? Trying to escape. One of the draconid's arms enlarged and turned into a terrifying dragon claw that was 2 to 3 meters long. The dragon claw was covered with black dragon scales, making it look extremely terrifying. They completely ignored the metal longswords that were attacking them. With a wave of their dragon claws, they instantly attacked the elder. Not good, so strong. Feeling the attack from behind, the elder's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly turned around to block. Another draconid moved forward and golden metal longswords landed on his body, but they were blocked by the black scales on his body. The elder who had just turned around saw a draconid approaching him, and his expression changed again. He was entangled. Devil-splitting dragon claw. The terrifying dragon claw carried a black sharpness as it directly tore towards the elder's body. The elder's expression changed drastically, and the metal longswords revolved around him, forming a powerful defense. Ka ka ka. The dragon claws made an ear-piercing sound as they landed on his body. Die. At this moment, another draconid had arrived. The terrifying dragon claws directly covered his entire body. Oh no. A trace of fear flashed through the old man's eyes. His entire body emitted a terrifying golden light. 1,000 needles, 10,000 needles, 100,000 needles. Numerous finger-sized golden auroras formed a terrifying metal attack. Boom. However, before the metal could form, 2 terrifying dragon claws struck the old man's body. Ah. The old man widened his eyes, raised his head and roared, wanting to block the attack. Boom. Another attack came and the old man's voice came to an abrupt halt. A draconid grabbed the old man's body with his dragon claws and threw him towards Hunyuan City. Bang! The old man's body crashed into the city walls on both sides and was embedded into them. Deacon Wen. The faces of the few old men who were flying towards them changed drastically as they shouted loudly. The old man had only flown 100 meters away, but this 100 meters was like a natural chasm. He had lost his life on the spot. The 2 draconids moved and returned to a position 500 meters away from the city gate. They looked coldly at the city. This? The bodies of over 100 nascent soul realm experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect who were flying in the sky and daring to come over froze. In a short instant, the nascent soul realm deacon was actually killed. Looking at the more than 50 people who were standing 500 meters away from their city in silence and coldness, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. They're standing at the entrance of our city. They're trying to block us outside the city. An old man gritted his teeth and growled in a low voice. Block us outside the city? The disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect immediately had ugly expressions on their faces. Their eyes revealed a crazed killing intent. There was actually someone who dared to block the entrance of their city. Moreover, they would kill anyone who came out. Extremely arrogant. Extremely arrogant. This was simply the first time in the history of the Immortal sect. If someone is really blocked inside the city gate, where is the face? Chapter 743. Chapter 743, Cursing the City, 1/5. Who dares to block our city gate? Is it the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect? Are they fucking courting death? Let's go and kill them. Whoever dares to block our city gate, we must teach them a lesson. They were furious. From today onwards, they would kill every Hunyuan Immortal sect disciple they saw. As long as he was a person with blood in his veins, he would be extremely furious when he heard these words. This was especially so for the disciples of the Immortal sect. The Immortal sect, which was high and mighty, was now being blocked at the entrance of their home. They would kill every single one of them who dared to come out. This was simply the most direct insult to their Hunyuan Immortal sect. One by one, the Hunyuan Immortal sect disciples swarmed towards the entrance with weapons in their hands. They were filled with killing intent. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Soon, the city gate was densely packed with more than 1,000 people. There were also many Dan Stage and Xiantian experts who flew on their flying swords and stood in the air. They looked at the 50 people who were standing 500 meters away from the city gate. All of them had gloomy expressions on their faces. More than 50 people stood in a row with their hands behind their backs. They stared at the city gate with an invincible aura. This attitude and behavior was the greatest contempt for the entire Chaotic Origin Immortal sect. Damn it! More than 50 people are blocking our city gate. Let's kill them. A heaven's favorite of the Chaotic Origin Immortal sect stared at Mo Qinglong and the others below with a face full of anger and shouted loudly. Kill. Kill them. Hang these damn fellows on the city wall and announce to the world the consequences of provoking our Chaotic Origin Immortal sect. The excited Chaos Origin Immortal sect disciples shouted loudly. Go, follow me. A young man who was blinded by anger moved and prepared to attack Mo Qinglong and the others. Retreat. An old man shouted and stopped the young man. Elder, are we just going to watch them act arrogantly in front of us? The young man said angrily. Stop. No one is allowed to go out. The old man moved his body and looked at the corpse embedded in the city wall. His expression was extremely ugly. His body moved and he took out the corpse and held it in his hands. That's Deacon 1. Some of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect disciples who had just arrived were slightly shocked. Their faces revealed shock. No matter which faction you are from, if you dare to kill our Hunyuan Immortal Sect's disciples and block us here, we will definitely kill you. The Hunyuan Immortal Sect's elder's face darkened as he roared angrily. Don't say these useless things. Today, if your Hunyuan Immortal Sect's disciples dare to attack us, we will definitely let you die here. If you have the guts, come out. Hunyuan Immortal Sect, hee. Mo Qinglong said with a disdainful expression as he crossed his arms in ridicule. His voice once again spread over 10 kilometers of Fengyuan. This caused the Hunyuan Immortal Sect disciples standing on the city gate to look as if their eyes were about to split open. Blatant mockery. They had been blocked at the gate. But now they could only watch. Elder, you must kill them. You must kill all of them. A disciple roared angrily. No one is allowed to leave. Don't worry, none of them can leave. The old man's eyes were cold. He looked up and saw another group of people walking over. They are from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. An exclamation came from the side. In the distance, more than 40 people from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect were flying over. Dong dong dong. At this moment, the sound of the gathering bell rang out from behind the Immortal Sect. No one is to go out. The old man's figure flashed as he flew towards the Immortal Sect. Domineering. At this moment, Elder Feng led a group of assassins from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and rushed over. When he saw more than 50 people standing in a row, he couldn't help but sigh. This kind of boldness was not something an ordinary person could achieve. Brother Mo. Elder Feng hesitated for a moment before coming to Mo Qinglong's side and shouting. After all, both sides could be considered allies now. Yes, Elder Feng. I was about to ask my disciple to look for you. Could you please give us information about the Hunyuan Immortal Sect's Heaven's Chosen disciples, elders, and deacons? It would be best if you also have information about their residence. We will need it in the next 2 days. Mo Qinglong looked at Elder Feng and said. Okay, we have all this information. Elder Feng naturally knew the purpose of Mo Qinglong's request. He quickly looked at the people beside him and said, Brother Mo, let us join you. Okay. Mo Qinglong nodded. Elder Feng was a little embarrassed. After all, the difference in strength between the two sides was too great. Especially those experts of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect who were half-step Infant Realm and Dan Realm, it was even more awkward. No matter what, they were still experts and had some status in the Immortal Sect. Now that they were here. They always had the feeling that the fox was using the tiger's might. Cough cough. At this moment, a young man glanced at the experts beside him and then looked towards the city gate. He turned his eyes and slightly raised his head as he jumped over the group of draconids. Little thieves in front, I've already blocked your gate, why don't you dare to come out? Fuck, a group of useless things, they actually dared to sneak attack our crown prince, they actually dared to sneak attack our crown prince's friends, how could they be so fucking cowardly now? Useless things, why are you standing on the city gate? Are you very angry? Then come out, a group of cowards, a group of cowards. Cursing. No, it should be cursing the city. A dance stage expert's voice could be heard for more than 10 kilometers. Those humiliating words immediately caused everyone on the city wall to explode. Fuck, not only was the city blocked but now they were actually being scolded. Moreover, it was a dance stage expert who was shouting. With a roar, it spread across half of Hunyuan City. What the fuck? Motherfucker, I'm going to kill them. An enraged, burly middle-aged man couldn't help but move his body and directly attacked the young man who was shouting at the top of his lungs. And in an instant, a draconid moved. Ping. Beside the city gate, before anyone could react, the middle-aged man was directly slapped onto the ground by the terrifying dragon claws. The terrifying attack instantly killed the middle-aged man on the spot. When the young man who had cursed the city saw this scene, he could not help but shrink his head. Soon after, a hint of excitement appeared in his eyes. Hey, finally, a man with guts. This is a real man. He would rather die than be humiliated. Look at the bunch of cowardly turtles and trash above you. They are unworthy of being men and are even calling themselves the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. From now on, they will be called the Cowardly Turtle Immortal Sect. As the young man spoke, he eagerly walked to the middle-aged corpse and placed it in the middle of the city gate. He pointed at the corpse and shouted loudly, "Look, this is what heroes are like. You're great heroes, look at yourselves. Turtles, aren't you ashamed?" Chapter 744. Chapter 744, Cursing Under the City Wall, 2/5. "Ah, I'm going to kill you. This is too infuriating, you bastard. I'll remember you, I'll definitely kill you in the future. Are there any brothers who will rush over with me? I'll kill that fellow today even if I have to die. Everyone, don't be rash, don't fall for their tricks. Our immortal sex experts will come over immediately." Furious voices rang out one after another. The disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect on the city wall nearly lost their minds and rushed over. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's disciples' taunts were filled with trash. Also, he actually called them cowards and said that their Chaos Origin Immortal Sect was cowards. A gentleman could be killed but not humiliated. This was no longer a simple insult. In an instant, dozens of people wanted to rush over, but were stopped by the people beside them. They could only listen to the ridicule with extremely gloomy faces. Aggrieved, incomparably aggrieved. However, they had no way at all. There were more than 50 terrifying experts who didn't know the depth of their strength standing in a row. There were also at least 10 infant realm experts from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. If they went out, their fate would definitely be the same as that middle-aged man's, dying miserably on the spot. Pooh. A middle-aged man was so angry that he directly spat out blood and panted heavily. The young man's eyes lit up when he saw the situation, and a smug expression appeared on his face. Behind him, the group of Dan Realm experts who felt that they were completely useless were also itching to make a move. Cough cough. The Dan Realm experts from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and those who were half a step into the Dan Realm all let out a shrill cry. "Cowardly Turtle Immortal Sect, since you dared to attack our Crown Prince yesterday, why don't you even dare to come out of the city gates today? This is the gate of your Hunyuan Immortal Sect. You don't even dare to come out of your own home. Why are you still alive? Why don't you die? Trash, I'm talking about you. Why are you staring? Can your eyes kill me? Trash, trash, come, come. If you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one?" For a moment, the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's Dan stage experts pointed at the disciples in the city and mocked loudly. With 30 people joining, all sorts of mocking and disdainful words were heard in an instant. That voice not only made the faces of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect's disciples outside the city gate angry, but also made their eyes bloodshot. Even the Hunyuan Immortal Sect's disciples and family members inside the city who didn't come over clenched their fists and wished they could rush out. Humiliation, humiliation. When had their Chaos Origin Immortal Sect ever suffered such humiliation? And since they could not retaliate, how could they retaliate? Scold back. If they really scolded back, then the other party would have even more reason to mock them. They could already imagine that after today, they would become a disgrace to all the immortal sects. A clown that was used as a joke by the other immortal sects. Mo Qinglong smiled when he saw the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect disciples cursing the city. It's still very useful. Elder Feng smiled awkwardly and politely when he heard that. Although it was awkward, he was very satisfied with the effect. At this moment, on the main peak of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect, 3 immortal gods stood in front, looking down at the elders and deacons of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. There were a total of 26 people. There were more than 40 experts of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect who were above the infant realm. 15 of them died yesterday and another one died today. The strength of the entire peak of the sect was directly lost by 30 to 40%. The 3 immortals stood on top with ugly expressions. Come, let's go. I want to see who dares to block the city gate of our Chaos Origin Immortal Sect apart from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. Supreme Elder Jianghu, who was standing in the middle, said with a gloomy expression. Let's go. The group of top-tier experts of the Primordial Immortal Sect moved and flew toward the city gate. However, before they reached the gate, they heard mocking voices. This caused the 3 immortals of the Primordial Immortal Sect to tremble, and their faces instantly turned extremely gloomy. Those insults were simply an insult to them and trampling on them. They, the great Chaos Origin Immortal Sect, had never suffered such a grievance before. The top experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect following behind were also extremely embarrassed. A terrifying dark cloud gathered in the sky. The terrifying energy was already able to cause changes in nature. Grand Supreme Elder and Sect Leader are here. All the experts from our immortal sect are here. The Grand Elder must kill that group of people outside. He must teach them a lesson. Kill them. When the disciples of the immortal sect saw the immortals and experts of the immortal sect coming, their faces turned red as they shouted loudly. This was the only time that the disciples of the immortal sect lost their minds and did not welcome the Grand Elder and the others. When the three immortal gods heard the voices from below, their expressions became even more unsightly. They stood in the sky above the city gate. There were 3 immortal gods and more than 20 experts at the infant realm and above behind them. More than 60 infant realm experts. The 3 immortal gods of the Hunyuan immortal sect swept their gazes over and immediately saw the strength of the 100 people below. More than 60 infant realm experts. When they saw the strength of this group of people, a hint of solemnity flashed in the eyes of the 3 immortal gods. Especially those 50 nascent realm experts who were lined up in a row. They were not from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. Which faction are you from? You have participated in the matter between US and the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. Do you know the consequences? You will have to pay a heavy price. The Supreme Elder of the Chaos Origin immortal sect looked coldly at Mo Qinglong and the others. His voice resounded throughout the world. You dare to hurt our eldest princess? We will make your Chaos Origin immortal sect pay a heavy price. Mo Qinglong did not reply. At that moment, a cold voice came from the distant void. Everyone was stunned. The noisy Chaos Origin city immediately fell silent. The disciples standing on the city wall looked into the distance in shock. Your eldest princess. Upon hearing the immortal god's voice, the Chaos Origin immortal sect's Grand Elder's expression turned extremely ugly. The middle-aged man next to him had a thought. The image of the girl appeared in his mind. His expression changed and he immediately sent a voice transmission to the Grand Elder. This caused a serious expression to appear in their eyes. There was actually an immortal god-level existence behind that girl. That attack yesterday had caused their Chaos Origin immortal sect to have an enemy with an immortal god, and it was a powerful enemy from an unknown faction. Clearly, the other party had already fought with the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. This caused the 3 immortal gods of the Chaos Origin immortal sect to have gloomy expressions on their faces. All their efforts had been for naught. Not only had they failed to kill that kid yesterday, but they had also provoked a terrifying force. Our Chaos Origin immortal sect does not intend to assassinate your eldest princess. Please forgive us if we implicate you. The sect leader of the Chaos Origin immortal sect said in a deep voice, I wonder how we can let this matter go. When we have killed enough people, we will naturally stop. Ao Jian's cold voice continued to be heard. Outrageous. Do you really think that our Hunyuan immortal sect is afraid of you? The Supreme Elder of the Hunyuan immortal sect roared with an extremely embarrassed expression. Close the city gates. No disciples are allowed to leave the city for the time being. I want to see how long they can stand here. The middle-aged immortal god ordered with an extremely embarrassed expression. Chapter 745. Chapter 745, Panic Assassination, 3/5. Close the city gate, no disciple is allowed to leave the city. When the middle-aged immortal god's voice resounded, all the surrounding disciples of the Chaos Origin immortal sect were stunned and their faces turned black. Close the city gate, an immortal sect was forced to close the city gate and was prohibited from leaving the city. This was simply the humiliation of the immortal sect. The faces of the 3 immortal gods of the Chaos Origin immortal sect were also very ugly. More than 60 infant realm and more than 60 infant realm experts were blocking the position at the city gate. With the strength of their Chaos Origin immortal sect, they were completely incomparable to them. Even if all the experts of the Chaos Origin immortal sect were to charge out, it would still not be enough for the other party to kill them. Moreover, their city rules forbade the immortal gods from attacking. As long as they attacked, it would violate the Immortal God Treaty. Not to mention the Immortal God Treaty, the immortal gods hidden in the surroundings would also find it difficult to allow them to break through. Even Ling Xiao was hidden in a corner around them. The 3 of them could not make a move, and the more than 60 infant realm experts outside the city had crushed the entire Chaotic Origin immortal sect. They could only close the city gates. Wait for them to leave. This was a very shameful thing to do, but there was no other way. Our chaotic origin immortal sect will remember this matter. In the future, you will definitely pay a terrible price for what you did today. The three immortal gods of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect were not willing to stay here any longer. After saying those words filled with killing intent, they snorted coldly and left. Close the city gates. No disciples are allowed to leave. Return to the city. An elder of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect shouted in a low voice with an unsightly expression. His cold gaze swept across the crowd in front of the city gates before he turned around and left. Coward, why are you closing the city gates? Come out if you have the guts, Turtle Immortal sect. Trash, you dare to assassinate our crown prince and his friends. Now you don't even dare to come out. Outside the city, a group of Yellow Heaven Immortal sect's dance stage experts saw that they were actually going to close the city gate and mocked loudly. Hearing the voices coming from behind, the top-tier experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect trembled slightly. They gritted their teeth and flew towards the Immortal sect. Out of sight, out of mind. They did not dare to enter the city gate. As long as they did, the immortal gods would be able to kill them instantly. Aren't you all powerful? Come in if you have the guts. Just barking outside. If you have the guts, come in. You're a bunch of trash. Seeing the immortal god and the top-tier experts of the immortal sect leave, the disciples of the immortal sect felt a little hopeless. This time, their immortal sect's face was going to be lost for sure. Therefore, they simply opened their mouths and started cursing outside. Damn it, they couldn't hold it in any longer. If they couldn't win, then they would curse. In any case, it was already very embarrassing. So what if they were to lose a little more face? You actually still closed the city gates. You bunch of cowards, if you have the guts, you can cower for the rest of your lives. If you have the guts, you can never come out again. If you have the guts, you can always stay outside. Motherfucker, do you want us to send you some tents and food? You bunch of bastards. Motherfucker. You don't even dare to come out of your own home, yet you dare to bark at your own home. Aren't you ashamed? We are all from the same immortal sect, and we are all ashamed of you. The Chaos Origin Immortal sect, who had given up their dignity, and the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect's group of dance stage experts began to curse. For a moment, the entire Chaos Origin city was filled with all sorts of curses. This caused the elders and deacons of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect to tremble. They don't dare to come in anyway, so let them curse. One of the deacons said in slight silence. Let them curse. At the very least they could vent their anger. After all, this was Chaos Origin City and they had the numbers. If they were to curse, they would not lose out. The corners of the elders and deacons' mouths twitched, and they directly dealt with their own matters with an embarrassed expression. Chaos Origin Immortal sect has lost a lot of face this time. After today, I believe that the entire Jianghu will become famous. Elder Feng said happily when he saw this scene. Today is just the beginning. Mo Qinglong's face revealed a faint smile, and his eyes flashed with coldness. Elder Feng was slightly silent as he sighed. It was too terrifying to offend such an enemy. He was certain that if it wasn't for the Immortal God Pact, the Chaos Origin Immortal sect would have already turned into a river of blood. The fact that his sister was injured and sent 2 immortal gods meant that the Dragon King still had immortal gods under him. At the very least, the Dragon King was still around. Elder Feng, I've posted all the actions of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect on the Jianghu website. I've posted all the posts in the 8 cauldrons. Haha, let's see how the Chaos Origin Immortal sect will continue to survive in the Jianghu in the future. At this moment, the young man who had started cursing earlier walked to Elder Feng's side and said excitedly. Elder Feng smiled and patted his shoulder. Go back to the Immortal sect and bring all the information about the elders, deacons and heaven-chosen disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect. Yes, Elder. The young man nodded and immediately flew toward the Immortal sect. Time slowly passed and 5 to 6 hours passed very quickly. Mo Qinglong and the others were still standing outside the city gate. As infant realm experts, it would not be a problem for them to not eat or drink for 1 to 2 months. A row of experts stood there, and no one in the entire Chaos Origin Immortal sect was driven out of the city gate. Bang? This is too fucking depressing. Every area on the pugilistic world's internet now has news of our Chaotic Origin Immortal sect being blocked. We have completely lost face. Now, the disciples of the other immortal sects are also calling us Turtle Immortal Sect. If you CK, I want to go out and kill those people outside and wash away our shame with their blood. Sigh, this time our Chaos Origin Immortal Sect is completely defeated. The elders and deacons of the Immortal Sect failed to kill Feng Lingtian. Instead, they made us provoke a powerful enemy. I don't know how long those terrifying experts outside will block the Immortal Sect. As time goes by, we will become the laughingstock of the martial world. At night, in a restaurant in Chaos Origin City, two elders sat at a table on the top floor. They slammed the table angrily and shouted loudly with red faces. Situations like theirs happened in many places in Hunyuan City. Come, drink more. Drink more today and forget about this unhappy matter. Even immortals can get drunk when they are drunk. Hehe, drink more today. The two old men drank. The moon slowly rose, gradually silencing the irritable Hunyuan City. One by one, the elders, deacons, and disciples of the Chaotic Origin Immortal Sect returned to their homes or the immortal sections. Like many immortal sects, some infant realm experts lived in the city, and some lived in the immortal sections. When night fell and most people fell asleep. In the center of the city, in the luxurious courtyard of an immortal sect's deacons, a faint white light fell on the door of the room, and it quietly opened. An old man was lying on the bed, snoring softly. Poochie. Suddenly, a strange white figure appeared and blood splattered onto the bedsheets. The white light enveloped the old man and he slowly disappeared. Chapter 746. Chapter 746, In a Panic Assassination, 4/5. Late at night, 4 to 5 hours. For people who slept, 4 to 5 hours was very short, but for an infant realm expert 4 to 5 hours was enough to do a lot of things. In Mixed Yuan City, soundless sounds filled the entire city. What was brought was corpses. 500 meters away from the city of primordial chaos, more than 100 people were standing on the road. Bang! At this moment, a corpse suddenly landed on the ground with a loud sound. Hiss. This is the 11th corpse. This is an elder of the primordial immortal sect. The experts of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect looked at the corpse on the ground and sucked in a breath of cold air. A hint of terror appeared in their eyes. That's right, it was fear. Even if the corpses were their enemies, they still felt fear. Looking at the city in front of them, it was as if it was a ferocious beast that was devouring people. That terrifying formless and shadowless creature quietly attacked and killed 11 infant realm experts of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect within a short 2 to 3 hours in the huge city. This was an infant realm expert. If you make an enemy out of such an existence, you might not even know how you died. The members of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect felt their scalps go numb. Fortunately, we are not enemies. The Dragon Gate is really too terrifying. Elder Feng's eyes flickered as he said to Imo Qinglong. Hehe, it will be bright in a while. Give the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect a big gift. Imo Qinglong smiled faintly. There were more than 100 of such terrifying creatures in the Dragon Palace. If the Hunyuan Immortal Sect sees these corpses, they will probably despair. Elder Feng could already imagine the reactions of everyone in the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. He looked forward with some anticipation. The sky gradually brightened. In front of Imo Qinglong and the others, there were a total of 17 corpses. Among them, there were 14 corpses of infant realm experts and 3 corpses of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect's outstanding heaven-chosen disciples. Hang them on the mountain peak on the right. Imo Qinglong looked around and waved his arm, bringing one corpse after another to the mountain peak on the left. That was a rather conspicuous place. Even in the Hunyuan City, if one looked carefully, they would be able to see it. He believed that this great gift was enough to cause the entire Chaos Origin Immortal Sect to boil. Cowardly disciples of the Turtle Immortal Sect, get up. Don't cower in a turtle shell. The sun had just risen and an angry roar was transmitted into the city. Bastards, this group of damn fellows. If you see him, percent. Weren't you the ones who were scolded yesterday? If I didn't go out, you wouldn't dare to come in. But I can still scold you. Go, motherfucker, let's properly greet their 18 generations of ancestors today. Furious curses quickly came from the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. The Immortal Sect disciples flew directly to the city gate and prepared to curse. I'll give you a big gift. Please look at the mountain on the right. Ah. The youth's loud laughter was heard. "I'll give your grandmother my foot. If you have the guts to enter our city, I guarantee," cough 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 cough. An irascible young man directly spat at that person loudly. However, when he looked at the mountain on the right from the corner of his eyes, he was instantly stunned. His eyes widened and his teeth began to tremble. His face was filled with fear. The dozens of youths in the surroundings also looked over in bewilderment. However, in an instant, it was as if an icy spring had surged into his heart, causing them to feel their breathing quicken. Hoo, impossible, this is impossible. You have entered the city? No, this is impossible. Must be fake, it must be fake. When the dozens of youths saw the corpses on the mountain peak, they nearly collapsed on the spot. One by one they cried out involuntarily. Haha, you say we don't dare to enter the city? Do you recognize the people above us? When the youth saw their expressions, he revealed an excited expression. The two immortals had been fighting for hundreds of years. Now that the Chaos Origin Immortal sect had suffered heavy losses, it was something that the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect was most willing to see. Seeing their panic and fear, the youth was extremely excited. Not good, something has happened to the elders and deacons. At this time, the dozens of young men completely ignored the young man's mockery. They all shouted into the city in panic, their voices trembling. They were dead. 14 elders and deacons were all killed overnight. In addition to the 14 nascent realm experts, there were also the most outstanding disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect. This filled their hearts with panic. They had actually entered the Hunyuan city last night and had even killed their elders and deacons. What frightened them the most was that no one had noticed and no battle had occurred. What kind of existence was it that could kill so many of their experts in one night? The panicked cries immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the Hunyuan city. All the disciples of Chaos Origin Immortal sect were slightly stunned. Something happened. What happened? What's going on? One by one, experts who had reached the dance stage flew over with faces full of shock. Look over there, quickly look over there. A young man pointed at the mountain peak on the right with a face full of fear. The corpse that was hung on it made their hearts shiver. What? Everyone looked over and instantly felt their scalps go numb. How is this possible? They entered our primordial city? There wasn't any fighting last night. How could it be? How could a group of elders and deacons be assassinated? They are at the infant realm. Who is it? Could it be that the immortal god acted last night to assassinate us? No, the immortal god should be able to sense the immortal god's actions. The disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect opened their eyes wide and shouted in shock. Report to the immortal god immediately. A dance stage expert moved and flew towards the immortal sect with a face full of panic. Something has happened. Something has happened. More and more Chaos Origin City's immortal sect disciples rushed over when they heard the terrified screams. When they saw the corpse on the mountain peak, their bodies went numb. Panic quickly spread toward the city. In just one night, such an immortal sect expert had died, and they didn't even know how the other party had attacked. This made them feel terrified. If the other party had come to assassinate them, then their corpses would have already been hung on the city wall. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 3 immortal god experts emitting terrifying auras instantly flew over. You're courting death. A fierce roar resounded throughout the entire Chaos Origin city. They were furious. When the 3 immortal gods of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect saw the corpses on the mountain peak, their faces revealed furious expressions. 17 corpses and 14 elders and deacons had once again cut off more than half of the power of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect. Presently, the entire Immortal sect only had 10 plus infant realm experts left. Chapter 747. Chapter 747, Panic Assassination, 5/5. You deserve to die. The terrifying power of immortals and gods covered the entire sky, and the wind and clouds changed color. The head elder of the Hunyuan Immortal sect, who was standing in the middle, had his hair standing on end, and he was exuding a terrifying pressure. Below, the faces of the disciples of the Hunyuan Immortal sect changed drastically. Under the terrifying pressure, they directly lay on the ground, their eyes filled with shock. What? You want to make a move? At this moment, a golden sword arrived instantly, and Ao Jian's voice appeared above the group of draconids. Haha, don't tell me that our Hunyuan Immortal Sect's Supreme Elder wants to challenge the Immortal God Agreement. A maniacal laughter was heard, and soon after, another figure appeared beside Ao Jian. Ling Xiao. The Hunyuan Immortal Sect's Supreme Elder's body trembled slightly, and the anger in his eyes could not be suppressed. Ling Xiao, and you don't go too far. You killed more than a dozen of our immemorial Immortal Sect's infant realm experts. This enmity is irreconcilable. The first elder suppressed the urge to make a move and roared in a low voice. Haha, Golden Ancient Jia, when you sent out all the infant realm experts to assassinate my son, why didn't you think of the consequences now? Regret? It's too late. I'll just continue to kill. What can you do to me? A terrifying aura also surged out from Ling Xiao's body, and a storm raged above his head. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Good. Jianghu Jia clenched his fists tightly, and his gaze was cold as he stared at Ao Jian. It was the hands of that strange creature of yours, right? Today our grudge will definitely. We won't rest until one of us dies. Before Jianghu Jia could finish his words, Ao Jian looked at the old man and said with a calm expression. The Golden Ancient Jia's expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and said, We will not rest until we die. We only killed 17. Don't worry. We will leave in 3 days. Therefore, on the third day here, I will let you know the consequences of injuring our eldest princess. I will also let you feel fear. Ao Jian stared at the Golden Ancient Jia and said calmly. 3 days. The Golden Ancient Jia and the two immortal gods beside him had a drastic change in expression as they stared coldly at Ao Jian. Haha, 3 days later the heaven and earth will still belong to our Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. Do you have any objections? At this moment, Ling Xiao immediately transmitted his voice to Ao Jian and told him about the heaven and earth. The heaven and earth was a very powerful place for cultivation. It was also because of this place that the experts of their Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect were able to suppress the other two immortal sections. Now Ling Xiao had promised some benefits and wanted Ao Jian to help him stabilize heaven and earth. Ao Jian nodded slowly. Ling Xiao had given him enough benefits. Moreover, it was better to support his allies than let his enemies develop. Ao Jian stared at the Golden Ancient Jia. Heaven and earth. The Golden Ancient Jia's face was almost bleeding. He looked at Ao Jian beside him and clenched his fists. Leave this place immediately. Heaven and earth will still belong to your Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's condition is their condition. We are us. Ao Jian stared at Jianghu Jia and said calmly. Phew. Jianghu Jia took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. There will be plenty of time in the future. With that, he moved and flew directly toward the Immortal Sect. Don't sleep for the next 3 days. We will protect you. The sect leader of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect shouted in a deep voice. His eyes were filled with helplessness as he moved and disappeared. Don't sleep for the next 3 days. Everyone in Chaos Origin City was stunned as grief and indignation appeared on their faces. Not only did they not dare to go out when they were blocked at the city gate, even the city was not safe anymore. They could not even sleep. They even needed the protection of the immortals. And their great elder had made a major compromise. Their Chaos Origin Immortal Sect was completely defeated. After today, their Chaos Origin Immortal Sect would once again become the laughing stock of the Jianghu. There will be some trouble in the next 3 days. They are already on guard. With 3 immortals protecting them, it will be very difficult to carry out an assassination. Ling Xiao frowned slightly and said to Ao Jian. Ao Jian nodded slowly. Unless they had been guarding Hunyuan City, the chances of success in the assassination during these 3 days were very, very small. Moreover, it was not worth the risk. Lord Ao Jian, let's go back directly. Let's let Hunyuan City fall into panic for the next 2 days. Mo Qinglong's eyes flashed as he said to Ao Jian. Alright, let's go. The Dragon King's task has been completed. Ao Jian nodded and said to the void, Brother Ao Yao, let's go. Alright. A voice replied from the void. Let's go. Mo Qinglong said to the crowd as he flew towards the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. Let's go as well. Elder Feng said to the group of Immortal Sect disciples. Yes. The group nodded. We're leaving. You can leave the city now. You can sleep well tonight. Don't worry really. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect youth rolled his eyes and shouted towards the direction of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. Elder Feng smiled when he heard his voice. They had left, but did the people of Chaos Origin City really dare to come out? Did they really dare to sleep at night? No, they definitely didn't dare. Because they didn't know where a terrifying existence had appeared to kill them. They didn't dare to gamble. They've left this place. They've left we. It must be their scheme. They left on purpose and then came to assassinate us at night. 14 elders and deacons were actually assassinated without a sound. What kind of terrifying assassins are they? Even the assassins of the assassination clan aren't that terrifying. That's right, we can't be careless. Seeing them leave, the people in Mixed Yuan City all had ugly expressions as they conversed. They weren't careless at all. They were still tense. It was too terrifying. The death of so many experts in one night had already caused them to panic. Just as Elder Feng had guessed, they wouldn't relax. Instead, they became even more vigilant. And the strange demons displayed their terrifying assassination techniques for the first time, causing the entire immortal sect to be on tenterhooks. There were still more than 100 strange demons in the Dragon Palace. If all of them came out, they would be able to intimidate more than half of the entire Jianghu. For the next 3 days, the city gates of Hunyuan City were still tightly shut. No one dared to sleep day and night. After 3 days of peace, not a single person died and there were no attacks. This made all the disciples of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect look even more embarrassed. They had been played. Although they knew that they had been played, they could only accept it. This matter was once again exposed on the Jianghu website. The Hunyuan Celestial Sect had once again become the laughingstock of the Jianghu Celestial Sect. At this moment, Wang Xian walked out of Jianghu City. There was a sudden change at Guan Shuqing's side. According to Prime Minister Gui's report, terrifying flames would erupt from Shuqing's body from time to time. The flames could not be controlled and were extremely terrifying. After Wang Xian heard about this, his expression changed drastically. He immediately went to the Celestial Sect personally to look for spiritual herbs and elixirs. Chapter 748. Chapter 748, Searching for Herbs, 1/5. Occasionally there will be terrifying flames emitted from her body. The temperature of the flames is extremely terrifying. Each time the flames will cause her pain. Wang Xian muttered as he looked at a map in his hand. When he learned that Guan Shuqing's flames were coming out from her body, he realized the severity of the problem. It might be related to the vermilion bird's blood essence. The vermilion bird was a peak race that was comparable to the divine dragon. They possessed an extremely terrifying ability, Nirvana. After Nirvana, the vermilion bird would be even more terrifying after being reborn. Similarly, the vermilion bird's vitality was extremely terrifying. A single drop of their blood could resurrect it. It was comparable to the ancient god-feeding Kuan Lord. Wang Xian didn't pay too much attention back then. From the looks of it now, there must be something wrong with the vermilion bird's bloodline. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Gui's voice was heard. A figure flew over at a terrifying speed. On Prime Minister Gui's back was a crystal box that was emitting a chilly aura. The crystal box was about the size of a human. There were beautiful patterns carved on it. It's here. Wang Xian reached out his hand and took the crystal box from him. He opened it slowly. Dragon King, this is the level 13 metal ice soul stone that you have obtained. I have made it into a crystal bed. The cold properties of the ice soul stone can suppress the eruption of flames and reduce the pain on the Dragon Queen's body. Prime Minister Gui said to Wang Xian. Okay. Wang Xian looked at Guan Shuqing, who was lying inside with a blush on her face. He gently touched her face and sighed. He didn't expect that an injury would cause Shuqing to remain unconscious. You can go back now. Wang Xian said to Prime Minister Gui. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui nodded and flew toward the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian closed the lid and carried Guan Shuqing on his back as he walked forward. Sun Lingxiu and Lan Qingyue didn't follow him out this time. Wang Xian told the two girls to stay in Jianghu City and rest well. The immortal gods from the Mingwang Immortal Sect and the Puppet Immortal Sect said that the innate Immortal Sect is good at growing spiritual herbs. They have a lot of spiritual herbs over there. Wang Xian muttered in his heart. His gaze swept across the map again. The territory of China had undergone a huge change. The 8 new cauldron worlds had increased the territory by more than half. The innate immortal sect belonged to the world of Tangding. Tangding was considered a relatively strong region among the 9 cauldrons. The entire region had 2 immortal sects and 1 immortal academy. The Immortal Academy was a relatively special force compared to the immortal sections. It was also the only immortal academy among all the powerful forces. It existed in the form of an academy. The Ice God Immortal Sect, the Natural-Born Immortal Sect, and the True Martial Immortal Academy were the 3 major forces of Tangding. Tangding's region was the same as the Yongchang world. There was only one huge city called Tang City. Tang City was incomparably huge. It was much bigger than the first-tier cities in China. Jianghu Academy was located at the center of the city. Wang Xian was here to look for medicine. He headed straight towards the direction of the Natural-Born Celestial Sect. If he wanted to enter the Natural-Born Celestial Sect, he had to pass through Tang City. This city is even bigger than Yongchang City. After entering the area of Tangding, Wang Xian carried a crystal box that was the size of a human on his back. He scanned his surroundings. There was a wide road which was divided into a human-shaped road and a horse-drawn carriage road. Come. Everyone line up. When you are browsing the Soup City, remember not to litter and abide by the rules of the Soup City. Remember. At this moment, a voice came from the side. Wang Xian looked over curiously and realized that it was actually a tourist group. There were more than 100 people in the tourist group. A group of tourists looked around curiously. Looks like the 8 cauldrons world will gradually integrate into the real world in the future. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the city. A smile appeared on his face as he walked straight into the city. Walking in the city felt like he was in ancient times. Although Wang Xian was dressed differently, the people around him did not pay too much attention to him. As he passed by the center of the city, Wang Xian saw the entrance of the Jianghu Celestial Academy. It was like a miracle in the world. It was filled with majesty. Wang Xian was not here for a vacation. He walked straight in. Guji. Just as Wang Xian passed by the Jianghu Celestial Academy and was in the path of the unique wooden houses on both sides, a creature suddenly flew over from the upstairs window. The creature was about half a meter in size. Its entire body was green in color and emitted a strong wood attribute energy. The strange thing was that the creature had a pair of eyes and its branches were legs. The creature pounced toward Wang Xian and opened its mouth to bite him. Ha! Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He lowered his head to take a look. The crystal box on his back was supported by a branch formed from the green dragon attribute. Meanwhile, the creature was biting toward the branch formed from the green dragon attribute with glowing eyes. Bang! Wang Xian's expression didn't change as he waved his arm toward the creature. Guji. The creature's expression changed drastically as a look of horror appeared in his eyes. Bang! His body crashed into the wooden house. Ching. A surprised voice came from the house upstairs. A net formed by trees caught the creature's body. A woman appeared in front of the creature in an instant. The woman had fiery red lips, raised her eyebrows and coiled her hair. She had a unique heroic bearing. She had a strong sense of majesty. She stretched out her hand to catch the creature and sized it up carefully. Guji. The creature looked at Wang Xian timidly and turned around to look at the woman pitifully. Young man, you've gone too far. The woman caressed its head and a cold look flashed across her eyes. She looked at Wang Xian gently. Take care of your pet. Wang Xian looked at the woman and said plainly. Ha! The woman laughed when she heard Wang Xian's words. She picked up the creature slowly and raised her head slightly. In an instant, a faint aura engulfed Wang Xian. You have offended my dignity. Come and apologize to Qing. What is this? A hint of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes as he raised his eyebrows. Offended your dignity? Wang Xian, who was already in a bad mood due to Guan Shuqing's incident, had a hint of coldness in his eyes. Don't look for trouble. A hint of dragon aura engulfed the woman directly. Cracks appeared on the ground in an instant as it extended towards the woman. You are also an immortal. The woman's expression changed drastically. She felt the pressure from Wang Xian and a hint of fear flashed across her eyes. An intermediate immortal. At least an intermediate immortal's pressure. It was one level higher than her. Wang Xian glanced at her and ignored her. He walked straight in. "My lord, I have offended you." The woman's voice rang out from behind. Her expression turned slightly ugly when she saw Wang Xian ignoring her. No wonder Qing Qing ran towards him. It's because his body is emitting an even denser energy than mine. Which immortal from the celestial sect is coming to my cauldron for? The immortal from the lower level was one level higher than the middle level immortal and had reached the level of an immortal god. Those who were addressed as higher than themselves were addressed as Sir. The woman looked at Wang Xian's figure and revealed a look of astonishment. He was heading in the direction of their immortal sect. Chapter 749. Chapter 749. What do you need? 2/5. I can easily meet an immortal god. He should be an immortal god from the true martial immortal house. Wang Xian walked through the main road of the special wooden house and pondered in his heart. The true martial immortal house was very powerful. It was rumored that there were 4 to 5 immortal god powerhouses and 2 intermediate immortals. However, his purpose of coming here was not the true martial immortal house. He did not have the intention to chat with other immortal gods. The problem with Shu Qing had to be solved as soon as possible. Wang Xian's footsteps were very fast, giving off an illusory feeling. After more than an hour, he arrived at the entrance of the natural-born celestial sect. Natural-born celestial sect. 2 gigantic trees stood tall. Each tree was at least 10 meters in diameter and 100 meters in height. Their lush leaves blocked off a huge area. The 2 trees intersected and formed a door-shaped entrance. Inside, rows of unknown trees blocked off a subordinate's path. It looked very spectacular. The 100 Flowers Garden is blooming today. We just need to get a drop of the 100 Flowers liquid today. The 100 Flowers Garden, one of the 3 gardens of the natural-born celestial sect, is blooming. The 100 Flowers liquid can calm one's mind and mind. It is extremely beneficial for cultivation. I hope I have something that the natural-born celestial sect needs to exchange for it. Haha, even if I can't get it, I would be satisfied just to take a look at Fairy Fang's beauty. At this moment, Wang Xian suddenly heard a group of people conversing behind him. Focus your mind and calm your heart. 100 Flower liquid? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. A contemplative look appeared on his face as he looked behind him. A group of more than 30 people, including young and middle-aged men, walked towards them. They were all wearing the same uniform. The words Jianghu were written on their chests. When the crowd saw Wang Xian standing at the entrance with a coffin-like coffin on his back, they glanced at him curiously. Then they ignored him and walked straight in. When Wang Xian saw them walking in, he followed behind them. 50 spirit stones for each person entering the 100 Flowers Garden. At the end of the path blocked by trees, 2 young men stood there and spoke to the crowd. It was obvious that this group of people from the True Martial University knew the rules as well. They immediately handed over 50 spirit stones. Wang Xian did not hesitate and took out 50 spirit stones directly. Currently, he did not have many spirit stones in his hands. However, he still had a few 100,000 spirit stones. As he was unfamiliar with the natural-born immortal sect, this 100 Flower Garden was an opportunity for him. With his current strength, although he could fly directly into the natural-born immortal sect to talk to the immortals, he did not know the rules here. He was here to ask for medicine. It would be troublesome if the natural-born immortal sect disliked him. After all, the natural-born immortal sect was not weak. The entire natural-born immortal sect was a sea of plants. Even some buildings in the distance were built on huge trees. It looked like the elves in novels. He followed the students of the True Martial Immortal Academy to the left. Soon, a colorful sea of flowers appeared in his line of sight. It's too beautiful. Every time I come here, I don't want to leave. A girl's voice came from the front. There were all kinds of flowers in front of them. Colorful butterflies were dancing on them. The entire sea of flowers didn't look like the mortal world or the immortal world. When they came to the center of the sea of flowers, there was an empty space. There were many seats placed on it, surrounding the seats in an arc. There were more than 100 seats and there were already many people sitting there. Wang Xian swept his gaze across and realized that everyone was waiting for something. He found a remote seat and sat down. Hey brother, what are you carrying on your back? Wang Xian was sitting in a seat when a young man suddenly asked curiously. Wang Xian turned his head and looked at the thin and weak young man sitting beside him. He said faintly, "The one I love." You are a weirdo. The skinny young man shook his head speechlessly when he heard his words. Wang Xian ignored him and looked at the cup of tea on the table. Brother, you don't look familiar. You are not a student of the true martial immortal college and don't seem to be from the ice god celestial sect. Where did you come from? The skinny young man looked at Wang Xian's attire curiously and asked enthusiastically. It's from Jianghu City. What kind of tea is this? Wang Xian picked up the teacup and took a sip. Instantly he felt refreshed. It was as though he had taken a sip of herbal tea in summer and it had entered his heart. Jianghu City? This is the 100 Flowers tea. It collects the fragrance of the 100 flowers and covers it. When the tea is boiled, take a sip to calm your mind. The skinny young man explained to Wang Xian and looked at him curiously. What? You don't know? Wang Xian shook his head. Is the effect of the 100 flowers liquid much stronger than this tea? Of course. This is just the fragrance of the 100 flowers while the 100 flowers liquid is the liquid of the 100 flowers. The two are naturally not on the same level. The 100 flowers liquid is equivalent to a top-grade grade 6 elixir. It is extremely precious. I wonder if I can exchange it for a drop this time. The skinny young man's eyes lit up as he spoke. Bing Chuanyun is here. Sai, there are so many big shots here today. My hope is a little slim. Suddenly, the skinny young man saw the group of people who walked in and said helplessly. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the group. It was a young man who was wearing white clothes. He was handsome and there was a hint of confidence between his brows. The group of young men sat not far from them. There are many people here. Senior Sister Baihua, what do you want to exchange for this time? Hee, it's the harvest season again. At this moment, in the 100 Flowers garden, a few girls were walking over with smiles on their faces. There were more than 10 girls dressed in clothes with a 100 flowers pattern. In the middle of them was an exceptionally stunning girl. On her shoulders, there were 2 7-colored butterflies the size of a palm. The butterflies were not decorations but living creatures. Beside this girl, a girl with a slightly inferior appearance was on her left. She had a proud expression on her face. The two of them were clearly one step ahead of the girls around them, revealing their identities. Look, Flower Fairy. This is your first time seeing her, right? The beauty ranked 3rd in the world of martial arts is ranked 3rd among the 20 immortal sections. Even if you can't get the 100 flower liquid this time, it's worth it to look at Flower Fairy. The skinny boy next to him smacked his lips and muttered to himself. Chuan Yun. A group of more than 10 girls came to a platform in the center. When the girl next to Flower Fairy saw the handsome young man, surprise appeared in her arrogant eyes, and she immediately walked over. The young man smiled at the girls, and a hint of admiration flashed in his eyes as he looked at Flower Fairy. Thank you all for coming today. This year, there are a total of 10 drops of 100 flower liquid in the 100 flower garden. Just like in previous years, you can barter with your items. If you are satisfied, you can directly exchange them. Flower Fairy stood in the middle and took out 10 jade bottles. The jade bottles were very small and one could see a drop of colorful liquid inside. Chapter 750. Chapter 750. What do you need? 3/5. The 100 flower liquid was placed on a stone table on the table. There was a special flower growing on the stone table. The flower was like a palm holding it on top. Everyone, the first drop of 100 flower liquid, everyone can take out their own items to trade. Those who are selected will carry out the trade. The 100 flower fairy gently tapped, and a flower on the stone table grew longer and was placed in front of them. She wore a flower dress, had delicate hands, 2 beautiful butterflies and had a delicate face. She was the 3rd most beautiful person in the world, so she definitely deserved her name. 2 grade 7 radiant wind grass, 1 stalk. 1 grade 6 medicinal pill, Ganoderma orchid pill. Grade 11 wood attribute scepter. 10 clear blue flower seeds. Just as the flower fairy sect finished speaking, a group of middle-aged youths took out their items and shouted loudly. The group of girls beside the 100 Flowers Immortal sect were looking at the items happily. The 100 Flowers liquid was a special item. It was comparable to a top-grade grade 6 elixir. However, it was very special. Even for an infant stage powerhouse, it had some use. Therefore it was very precious. A grade 10 wood spirit pearl. The skinny young man beside Wang Xian also shouted loudly. When he shouted out the wood spirit pearl, the girls' eyes lit up as they looked over. Flower Fairy also looked over. It was a pity that there was a hint of disappointment in her eyes. The wood spirit pearl was very useful to them, but it was a pity that its level was too low. 2 level 11 wood-attributed spirit weapons. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the items around him and took out 2 wood-attributed scepters. Currently Wang Xian had the most spirit weapons. He also had more than 20 wood-attributed spirit weapons, including 5 to 6 grade 12 wood-attributed spirit weapons. All of these were obtained from killing the disciples of the Holy Medicine sect of the Holy Doctor sect. The crowd was slightly surprised when they saw Wang Xian taking out 2 grade 11 wood-attributed spirit weapons. Compared to spirit weapons, elixirs were more precious. The 100-flower liquid could at most be compared to 1 grade 11 spiritual artifact. It was a loss for Wang Xian to take out 2 of them. Alright, the first drop of 100-flower liquid will belong to this young master. The flower fairy looked at Wang Xian and said with a smile. With a wave of her arm, the 100-flower liquid flew directly towards him. Wang Xian also threw the spiritual artifact over and caught the 100-flower liquid. Brother, you really don't show your true colors. You're just a nouveau riche. Exchanging 2 grade 11 spiritual artifacts for the 100-flower liquid, TSK. The skinny young man at the side looked at Wang Xian and sighed with envy. Wang Xian smiled. He opened the jade bottle and sniffed it. Instantly, a fragrance that made him quiet came from inside. It seemed to have a calming effect on his soul. Wang Xian moved his arm and placed the crystal box behind him on the stone table in front of him. After opening it gently for half a meter, Wang Xian poured the 100 flowers liquid into Guan Shuqing's mouth gently. This? The skinny young man at the side was stunned when he saw Wang Xian opening the crystal box and seeing Guan Shuqing inside. He widened his eyes when he saw Wang Xian pouring the 100 flowers liquid into her mouth directly. He is really someone that I like. The skinny young man muttered with a shocked expression. Pouring the 100 flowers liquid that was exchanged for 2 grade 11 spirit tools into her mouth directly was extremely extravagant. Wang Xian stared at Guan Shuqing's expression. When he saw her flushed face slowly returning to normal and her breathing becoming more stable, a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. It works, it really works. He heaved a heavy sigh of relief. As long as it works. I'll take the second bottle of 100 flowers liquid. It's a level 12 wood attribute spirit weapon. This spirit weapon is not an ordinary spirit weapon but a wooden hairpin. Wearing it on the body of the flower fairy is its best destination. At this moment, the second bottle of 100 flower liquid began to be exchanged, and a young man's voice sounded. A level 12 would attribute spirit tool. My god, Glacier Cloud has invested a lot. Exchanging for a level 12 spirit tool is simply a huge loss. Glacier Cloud's intentions aren't in the wine, he's clearly trying to curry favor with Flower Fairy. Tiske, I've always heard that Glacier Cloud likes Flower Fairy, but now it seems like he lives up to his reputation. A perfect match. Senior Brother Bing is the most outstanding disciple of our Ice God Immortal sect. He is worthy of Flower Fairy. When the surrounding people saw the item that Bing Chuanyun took out, they automatically put away their own items. They did not want to compete for this drop of 100 flower liquid. When the girl sitting next to Bing Chuanyun saw him looking at her junior sister with admiration, her eyes revealed a look of jealousy and her face was embarrassed. Seeing that he was holding a grade 12 spiritual artifact, Flower Fairy frowned slightly and said, Young Master Bing's grade 12 spiritual artifact is too valuable. I'll give you 2 drops of 100 flower liquid. Bing Chuanyun's expression turned ugly when he saw her giving him 2 drops. He shook his head slowly and said, All right then, we'll do as Fairy says. Wait. At this moment, Wang Xian stood up slowly and said, 1 grade 12 would attribute spiritual artifact and 1 grade 11 would attribute spiritual artifact. What the fuck? Are you serious? This is crazy. Is he going after Flower Fairy as well? It's that young man again. 1 level 12 spiritual weapon and 1 level 11 spiritual weapon in exchange for 2 drops of 100 flower liquid. This was a huge loss. No one would make such a stupid deal. It was no exaggeration to say that these 2 spiritual weapons could be exchanged for at least 6 to 7 drops. Which immortal sect is he from? If he isn't from the Ice God Immortal sect, he doesn't seem to be from our true martial immortal college. Could it be that some rich second generation from an immortal sect is chasing after fairy flower? Some people stared at Wang Xian in bewilderment. Others did not pay much attention to his purchase of the first drop of 100 flower liquid. However, the price he offered this time was simply too extravagant. It was even more extravagant than Glacier Cloud. Flower Fairy was stunned as well. She looked at Wang Xian with astonishment in her heart. Could it be that he was really pursuing her? Otherwise, why would he spend such a huge price to purchase her 100 flower liquid? Thinking of this, Flower Fairy couldn't help but size up Wang Xian. Based on his looks, he wasn't any worse than Glacier Cloud. He had an ordinary aura about him. He wasn't very attractive, but he was very attractive. Young master, are you sure you want to exchange 2 spirit tools for 2 drops of 100 flower liquid? The Flower Fairy asked Wang Xian curiously. She was just curious, but she didn't have many thoughts. That's right. Wang Xian nodded. The 100 flower liquid was very useful to Shu Qing. He didn't care about 1 or 2 spirit tools. Beside him, Bing Chuanyun frowned as he stared at Wang Xian. He then raised his eyebrows. Since this young master wants to exchange 2 drops of 100 flowers liquid for such a valuable item, I will give it to you. I will also let the Flower Fairy earn a little more. I want the lower ones, he said with a smile as though he was thinking of the Flower Fairy. It was indeed able to give the Flower Fairy a good impression. The Flower Fairy nodded her head slowly. After all, this was a trade and not a direct gift to her. There was no reason for her to reject him. Here. The Flower Fairy threw 2 drops of 100 flower liquid over. Wang Xian also threw the spiritual weapon over. Then give me the next 2 drops of 100 flower liquid, Flower Fairy, Bing Chuanyun said with a faint smile on his face. All right. The Flower Fairy nodded her head. Wait, I want the remaining 7 drops of flower liquid. What do you need? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.